Hey guys, Nick here, and this is our 4-year anniversary commentary of Man of Steel. Obviously, we did this Batman vs Superman commentary a few weeks ago, or couple months ago now. And I did that with a couple of friends of mine on Tumblr, and one of them is back here with me today. I'm going to reintroduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm Story Advocate.
Yeah, and we've known each other on Tumblr for quite some time now, and we had so much fun doing the Batman vs Superman commentary that we figured, hey, might as well do the Man of Steel one since we had so much fun the first time around. And the timing of this is actually really funny because we're recording this a couple weeks early, so it's June 2nd today, so it's opening weekend for Wonder Woman, and I've seen it, and unfortunately, Katie hasn't.
I'm sorry. I'm going tonight, man. I'm going tonight. That's the soonest I can get in.
Yeah, and obviously for any DCEU fan who hasn't seen Wonder Woman yet, it's so good. And it was one thing I'm so happy about too. And none of this isn't Man of Steel related necessarily, but I'm so happy that Wonder Woman is getting as much love as it is.
I am grateful. I really am.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Batman vs Superman and all the other movies and stuff, but it's nice to not have to go out and put all my effort into defending the movie all the time now since so many people love it.
I agree, but unfortunately, as always, we end up having to defend the first ones because, people seem to feel the need to use one to bash the other, and it's like, really, guys, it's totally okay if you just say Wonder Woman's awesome and don't use it to drag other movies. That's weird, but, that's humanity. So, yeah, but I agree. It's nice not to have to panic about this one, and I cannot wait. I'm stoked. Yeah. So,
and like I was saying to Katie right before we started recording, that for anyone who's seen Wonder Woman, I think I'm probably not the only one who thinks that there are a lot of story and as well as visual parallels to Man of Steel and Wonder Woman in terms of, because I feel like Diana's origin and Clark's origin aren't necessarily too different from one another, in that they're both from these other worlds, if you want to call them that, and they come into our world and kind of have to come to terms with what it means to be in our world and the decisions that they have to make and face the realities of this world. And I think both movies handle them really well, and I'm just, after seeing Wonder Woman, I'm so glad to kind of go back to where it all started in Man of Steel.
Awesome. Any excuse to watch Man of Steel is always
Yeah. I haven't actually sat down and watched this movie in a bit, so this will be my first time doing it in a while, so I'm excited.
I did a couple weeks ago, and it hadn't been in a bit, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just watch it before Wonder Woman comes out. Now I'm like, oh, watch it again. I'm good with that. It's totally fine. Let's do this thing. So.
Yeah. And that's one thing, too, again, feel like I'm keep moving off topic, but, after seeing Wonder Woman, and then watching her scenes of Batman versus Superman, I just, it's almost like you're seeing, two different versions of the same person, because essentially you're seeing the innocent and naive Diana in Wonder Woman, and you've seen the world weary and more just not as innocent one in Batman vs Superman. And it's just, I just love the storytelling of the DCEU and seeing where our characters come from and where they are currently. And I
completely agree. I think it's fascinating, actually, how the approach that many actually hate, but I love the approach they take in that sometimes they bring us into a character story, and you're right, half of it has already happened. They didn't give us Wonder Woman's origin first. They went ahead and stuck her in the middle of Batman vs. Superman, and we're going, okay, what's her story? Why is she so weary? What's going on? Why'd she turn away from mankind? What's it, and it's really fascinating. And then they're like, okay, so now you're interested, and here's her origin story. And we go, thank you.
Even for the people who didn't,
really cool.
There's a lot of people I know who didn't necessarily love Batman vs Superman, but they loved Wonder Woman in it, and so I've been trying, ever since I saw the movie, I've been trying to tell everyone, on social media, or, my family or whatever, go see this movie. If the only part of Batman vs Superman you liked was Wonder Woman, you're gonna love her movie.
Yep.
So.
I cannot wait. I'm so stoked.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be really, really into it. Alright, so I have my movie synced up on, I'm at the start, I have it paused, so I'm ready to start whenever you guys are.
Alright, how many seconds in are you? Because
I'm at 0.
Okay, there we go. I tried to get to 0 and then it started playing, and I'm like,
alright, so let me know whenever you're ready.
Stop that nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, we'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alrighty. I'm so happy.
Yeah, me too.
This movie, I swear, I love this movie so much.
I love how it starts and you see all this ancient Kryptonian text just in this little opening of all like the studio logos and all that stuff, and it's just.
I love that though. It creates really good atmosphere before we even get into it all.
And if you notice, the beginning of the score for this is the same kind of score they used for the towards the ending of Batman vs Superman when Bruce is talking about men are still good.
Yes.
It's very the score is almost exactly the same.
Yeah. And if you notice, when they focus on Superman's monument, or if you or Sneaker's monument, at the end with all the crowd and stuff, that is the only time in Batman vs Superman when the full high Superman scene with the choir in the background is used, which they use before he starts flying here. But okay, we're starting. Sorry. Okay, I hear a lot of complaining sometimes about how much time is spent on Krypton before he gets to Earth, but I actually really love it because
me too.
Part of Zack's whole vision here was to show him as a child of two different worlds. And to only get one side and get the other one just tiny little blips before they're gone, it doesn't really accentuate to us that he truly is a child of two different worlds, And so here they start from the very beginning, from the moment he's born, and it's really cool.
And one thing I think I brought up in our Batman vs Superman commentary was there's the ray of light shining when he's born, and then there's a ray of light shining when he dies. Beautiful.
Yes.
And I don't think you would get that from any other real film, like any other filmmaker. When Zack just understands this world so well, and even look at this. Like, this is so visually different from any other interpretation of Krypton we've ever seen. It's
yes, and I love that. There's always that moment of suspense when the baby takes a few minutes to cry. I'm like, breathe, dude, breathe,
Yeah. God, Russell Crowe is so good in this.
He does a great job. And I really feel it's important to really get, you're right, an idea of the society, how it functions, what the planet was like, what his actual parents were like, what his birth parents were like, It's not going to accentuate, we're not going to really understand how in between he is until we see both.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love they gave everybody their different little hieroglyphs. See, they put a lot of time and effort into this.
They hired an actual linguist to create the Kryptonian language too.
Yep, that kind of detail.
You wouldn't get that in most films, I feel like.
No.
First look at
Zod. Okay, Michael Shannon is the best Zod ever.
Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the other interpretations of Zod for the most part, but his, I think, is the most, not relatable, but the most, real in terms of, his drive to just, to protect Krypton. He's not there just to be a bad guy.
Yes. He is a really good, well-made villain with a true motivation who really believes in what he's doing. And Michael Shannon brings it to life very nicely. It's very intense. And in some ways it's relatable because we understand what he's trying to do, but we don't, or no, we're not supposed to as an audience agree with how he's doing it.
Exactly.
But it's really cool.
Yeah, you look at him right here who's trying to go to Jarrell and be like, help me save our race.
He's got his hand on his shoulder. You can barely see it, but it's right there. He truly would love it if he would join him, if they could do it together. But of course, Superman's dad would never do that.
You've taken up the sword against your own people.
Okay, so watching this, have you seen that trailer that was that leaked online about a month ago of that Krypton series they're doing?
Krypton one, I admit I was like, oh crap, I'm interested in that.
I know. No, because I think that's supposed to be about Jor-El's dad. I think
so. Yeah, didn't they say grandfather?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Now I'm wondering how they'll use. I mean, obviously it visually looks like Man of Steel, and I'm happy that it is set in the DCEU.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering where they can go story-wise with that, because I think it's about Superman's grandfather, and then there's Zod's grandmother.
Yeah, it's gonna be similar to Gotham in a lot of ways, in that it's destined to fail. It has to fail in order for the hero to continue on their correct journey.
Yeah.
So that will be the build-up. That would be the finale of the show if it went long enough.
Yeah.
And but I'm kind of interested in seeing that happen, to be honest. So I'm good with that. Okay, we're missing all the good stuff. Here we go. I love all the, how,
the Civil War aspect
has immediately descended, I love all the technology, his little helper. I mean,
Yeah, and I love this creature that he has too that comes in.
Love this. And you could tell it's devotion to him, you know, his care for it. Like, all of this makes them real people and not just little cardboard characters that, you know, say goodbye, son, and send him off, you know? So there's real purpose to everything they do. It's, I love this world. And seeing it on the big screen, I was like, holy crap. And I remember, like, here. Yeah, see? Exactly. Oh, look, they're all living underneath.
I know, that's what I was just sort of pointing out. Like,
I watched this, I was like, what the heck? And I realized, like, they're not telling us, they're just showing us. Look, right here. Everybody's living underneath the surface. The planet's so bad. And I went, holy cow. Like, that's true. Everybody says, show me, don't tell me. But half the time they don't really understand what they're saying, and they don't understand what that means. That's what this is. He's not telling us they're all living under the surface, whereas he's not giving us a giant monologue. He's just showing us, look, this is how bad the planet is. And we all go, oh, okay. But you got to engage. You got to check in. Otherwise, you're going to miss it all.
And I love how they kind of give, like, Russell Crowe, like, his own, like, Superman suit to wear.
Yes. See,
and he looks good in it, too.
He does. I remember him saying, I got to wear one of those? Crap, I gotta start working out, you know?
Because I remember, like, before the movie came out and he was trying to explain, like, the Kryptonian, like, attire for what he wears, and I'm like, huh? And then I'm looking at it, I'm like, it looks great. Like, it really does.
It looks great, and it makes total sense. See, I love that.
And I love this, too, like, the whole Codex part of the storyline.
The whole Codex, it was just fascinating. If I'm correct, like, I don't know comics really well, but this has never been introduced in terms of a comic book world, right?
No, this is all just from the movie.
Okay, that's what I thought. I love it, though.
That's all
and it's a lot better than just, I'm going to hunt down Zod's son and kill him. It's more, you know, I have to, because he's got the Codex. Everything Zod does is in relation to that, you know. Plus, he's totally okay with killing, you know, Jor-El's son. But it's about the Codex. That's excellent motivation. And it ties into the whole nature versus nurture argument that this entire movie you know, brings into play. Oh my god!
Like the whole fact, like all these people up until Clark are bred to be certain things in society, and that's the whole reason why Clark was the first natural birth. Because Jor-El and Lara both wanted their son to be able to choose what he wanted to do with his life.
Exactly. It's a really beautiful statement and story in terms of, you know, you're right, nature versus nurture, destiny versus free will, all of that kind of thing. I loved how they did it.
Yeah, but God, me too.
Now, and his trust, they're just jumping and knowing that she would be there to catch him. It's just, all of it is, it's a really beautiful precursor story to what Superman ends up being.
Yeah.
So they're one of the few actually living up above the surface, it looks like.
Orbiting a main sequence yellow star, just as you said it would.
Young star. The cells will drink its radiation.
Seemingly intelligent.
I giggle every time. It's true, Zach. We are seemingly intelligent.
I think about that line, he'll be on Outcast, they'll kill him, and then after watching Batman vs. Superman, it kind of makes me emotional.
Yep. Well, and then he says, no, he'll be a god to them. And right there, they've laid out the steps.
Yep.
At first, he'll be an outcast. At first, he will die for them. You know, they will kill. They will lead to his death. But then he will be a god to them. But not like a savior character that they worship, you know, or one that rules. Be a figure to look up to, be inspired by. It's all right there. Beautiful thing. I love that liquid metal too. That's
me too.
One of the coolest things. Holy cow!
And I love that when the scene later on in the movie where like Jor-El's like explaining the history of Krypton using that. That was a great storytelling mechanism.
Yes, it was. And here, I identify with her struggle. It's one thing to have this plan and to, you know, imagine it happening.
And then now I have to do it.
Once the baby gets there, suddenly it's like, holy cow, you're holding your tiny son. You're really just going to stuff him in a ship and send him off? You know, I mean, oh yeah. And I appreciate that they gave her time to struggle with that and to commit to it and to be hurt by it, you know. It was really beautifully written, I thought. I don't know. People complain a lot about David Goyer's dialogue, and I'm like, really? You know, she had the opportunity to grieve all their lost time that they would never have with him. You know,
I know.
I'm sorry, lots of stories don't do that. They just blow past that stuff.
And especially Superman origin stories, like a lot of them, like yeah, the mother like you'll have like Laura be like, oh, like I wish I could spend time with you, but like in here, like you see, she doesn't want to let him go. Like this is her son,
Exactly.
this is her world.
Yep.
Like
Yep, but in the end, she does what needs to be done to save him, and that's, you know, that's motherhood. The focus on mothers in this entire series is so impressive to me because you rarely ever see it in actual films and series and TV. You know, you just don't, and it's a beautiful thing.
okay, now this whole storyline with the Codex being implanted into Clark's DNA, I'm wondering if they're ever going to introduce a storyline in the movies where Clark and Lois do end up having a child. Because right now in the comics, Clark and Lois do have a son, and he does have Kryptonian powers. So I'm wondering if that's something Zack or whoever ends up directing a Man of Steel sequel in the movie in the future, like if they're going to ever do that storyline.
I would love to see that,
Me
but
too.
I admit it would be far in the future. So, I love how the S, how the hieroglyphs on
Oh, God,
everything. You know, it's their coat, it's everything.
And I love this battle armor he has.
Gearing up for battle, baby. You know. And the soundtrack is just gorgeous. This soundtrack is still one of the most moving.
Oh God, me too.
All Zimmer is just amazing.
And it's funny because last year I was in this film production class, and one of the guys, it was like one of the first days of class, like we're like all introducing ourselves and stuff, like we talk about like our interests and our hobbies. And one guy said, "Oh, I'm really like a score junkie. You know, I really love listening to film scores. Like right now, I'm listening to the Man of Steel score," and I'm like, "Yes."
Woo! That would be me. I'd be like, yeah. I mean, so.
Hold this platform, Commander.
You know, for being all CGI, all these suits I think look great.
Yes. I remember being astounded when I looked at some of the behind-the-scenes footage. I realized how much of it actually was CGI, and I'm like, holy crap! Michael Shannon's an amazing actor.
I know,
how much he's interacting with everything around him, and it's not even there. You know, it's really impressive.
It's a second chance for all of Krypton, not just the bloodlines you deem worthy. What have you done? We've had a child, son. Boy child. Krypton's first natural birth in centuries. And he will be free. Free to forge his own destiny. Heresy!
See, there's Zod just trying to protect Krypton culture and Krypton life.
Exactly. Yep. And see, again, I heard somebody say, like, oh, he said it was heresy and then he killed Jor-El. That's heresy. No. What he's talking about is the natural birth process. That's heresy to him, you know. That's completely and totally going against everything they believe in and think to be right at this point. So, I love this whole sequence, you know. If that scar stays with God and he's gone, you know. And it really gives Jor-El
that Jor-El can kick butt, too.
Yep, and then I loved how they made Laura the one getting everything ready in the background as they fight. Now she continues it going. And this always struck me. Even the first time watching it, I was shocked at how, just a second here, Zod appeals to her. And Jor-El just looks at her and gives her the option to, you know, waits for her to make the decision, and she does. That is a really powerful moment they don't give to females or women very often, or mothers especially. I mean, is that not a beautiful moment? You know?
It really is.
It's just amazing.
Like father, like son.
Well, and the part that always got me was that he was distracted because he was staring up at his son. He was looking up at the stars, and looking up at his son. So he was doing what, you know, so many others will do later, is look up to him and view him as a source of hope and inspiration.
If I remember watching that for the first time, and I was so shocked that they did that, like, because you know Jor-El's gonna die no matter what anyway.
Yeah. But we figured he'll blow up.
Makes it even more personal, makes it more emotional, just...
Yeah. It was so real, too. I was, like, usually there's he'd be on the ground, and they'd have a few extra words that they'd say to each other, and, you know, it would be kind of a drawn-out, lame death scene, and here he was just gone. he was gone. You know what I mean? He had that weird little face shake, which was beautifully played, you know, where it was like, oh, that's not right. And then he just fell over, and that was it. And I was like, holy crap, that's the most real death I've seen in a long time.
Yep.
Bring that
So.
ship down.
And look at that pilot, too. He looks cool.
I know, that's really awesome.
Kind of reminds me of Star Wars a bit.
I was thinking the same. Okay, I'm glad I'm not crazy. I love part of their whole design was like nothing shiny or metal. You know, everything looks a little bit different. You know,
Yeah.
everything looks a little bit. Could be bone. It could be some different kind of structure. It's based
Yeah.
on something else. It's not the typical outer space what we think of. Oh, he's an awesome actor.
Oh, God, he is.
Zod is still one of my favorite villains because he did it so well.
Man, all these visuals, too, are just...
So pretty.
I know.
To 300 cycles of somatic reconditioning. Do you have any last words?
You won't kill us yourself. You wouldn't sully your hands, but you damn us to a black hole.
And I remember the art of the film book talked about how their handcuffs here are based off like animal type of idea, and especially because it goes up and around down their back like a spine. And I was like, holy cow, that's really cool. I mean, people just don't do that kind of stuff usually, you know? Oh, I love this.
Oh, God, me too. And even Lara's wearing the House of L symbol on her chest here, if you notice. See?
Yep.
And it looks great. Like,
She stares him down. I love it.
Yep.
So, and that's the one that she actually believes. Do you see that look? Like, he's yelling, and she's like, yeah, okay, and stares him down, but then he gets quiet and intense, and suddenly, you know,
And then after he gets
chill,
frozen, she, like,
you know?
then that's when she lets her emotions show.
Exactly, and I honestly think it's like she got a little chill of fear there, you know? Oh, Fayora, she's awesome, too. Kind of miss her, like, you
Me
know.
too.
I understand we can't have them back, and that's fair, but they were awesome,
Yeah.
you know?
But I feel like if they wanted to, they could explain some way of bringing the Kryptonians back.
Heck
'Cause-
yeah, they totally could.
Yeah.
But, you know, would they? I don't know. You know, I mean, they told the original story so well, it just, you
Yeah.
know, they'd have to think of a really good reason to have
Yeah,
them
they
come
really
back.
do.
Otherwise, it's just repeat. You don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
See, there it is. And I feel so bad for Lara, because now not only did she just have to send away her son, she just lost her husband, and now
Oh, yeah.
she's alone as the
yeah.
world's about to end.
Exactly. And it's tragic and it's sad, but it just shows me how strong she is, you know?
Yep.
She didn't fall apart the second her husband died and her son was gone. She didn't completely just go to pieces. She held everything together until the very last. And then even in a few minutes, you know, she doesn't even go for shelter. She is
No,
so
she
strong.
knows, yeah,
I love that.
Got me too.
See how it looks more bony?
Yeah.
See, that's just cool.
If you and it's funny because if you look closely, there's like certain details within that S-glyph right there. Like it's like shaped like a bat almost.
Oh, yeah.
Man, the scene coming up, I remember because someone on Tumblr was showing like parallels between Lex's line of the mother of a demon must be a witch and is the whole death by fire line, and then they show this scene to compare it.
I know, we're all like,
God, you can literally there's just so many parallels between the two movies and what Zack purposely sets up to follow up in the next one, and it's just
Yes, he's an amazing visual storyteller. And look how she is, though.
Oh,
She's so strong. And that would exactly be any mother's wish for her son that she just sent away, that he could create a better world and, you know, make it a better place than what they ended up with.
Yeah. This is kind of a brutal way for Krypton to go out, too.
Yes.
Like,
but
it's really different than
fascinating.
just...
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, in the past it's been like, oh, it gets too close to the sun, or some
or
other
black
kind of
hole,
like
or-
fantastical thing. But no, but like Krypton's end in this universe is that it was its own demise. Like they did this to their own world, and one of the things I remember Russell Crowe talking about, like doing press for the movie, he's talking about how like global warming and stuff. Like that was one of the reasons why he wanted to sign on to the role, so he can promote like taking care of our world, not letting our world become what Krypton is. You know.
Yep, I totally agree, and that's exactly the point they're trying to make, you know, and it's
subtle,
really a beautiful thing.
Subtle, too.
And they've gone ahead and incorporated it into Superman's own story, you know, that hopefully he can help them make a better world and learn from his people's mistakes and
Yeah.
help humans not to go the same way.
And I mean, I've seen the Superman origin story so many times, and I loved how they just immediately cut to him as an adult.
Yes, I heard so many people say, "Oh, thank goodness," because they were like, "I really don't want to watch a whole him growing up thing because
Yeah.
I've seen it a million times."
Yeah, but
And
also I love the
I
flashbacks
haven't
in this
seen
too.
one since I was a kid, so I was like, "Oh, okay, they're going straight to adulthood. Interesting." But it was fine with me. It wasn't a bad thing, because you get it all in flashbacks anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just really nice.
And everyone's like, "Oh, here's the latest episode of Deadliest Catch."
See, here's my favorite though.
He's like, "Where the hell did they find you?"
And they're all like, "Oh, they're so mean to him and stuff." But look at him. He's got this tiny little T, on his face because he knows what would have happened. He wouldn't have been hurt. But also, it's like, hey, look, I mean, he's a rough and tumble fisherman. He doesn't have great words to say. It's like every military man I've ever known, or, everything's a-hole this and a-hole that, but it's all meant nicely. But, he still made sure that he didn't get hurt. That's a good human right there. He's a little rough around the edges, but, and I don't know. I think a lot of people missed some of the treats of this movie in terms of just called it all bullying and all bad. And it was like, no, there's some good stuff there. It's just, you gotta really pay attention.
Yeah.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Oh, that makes me just look at him. They're like, okay.
What's that?
Yeah, it's funny. That guy right there who just looked at him, I guess he played General Zod in Supergirl for the finale.
No kidding. Okay, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't actually him. It was like Superman thought he was looking at General Zod. And it was a mind control kind of thing. But yeah.
That's awesome. Then I loved how they had a real helicopter here. I remember them talking about it. Okay, what's real? What's not? Well, the helicopter has to be real. All right, then.
Oh, this is one of my favorite. The score right here, too.
Yes. Well, and just everything, I don't understand how people call Henry wooden in his acting.
Oh, God,
his
I know.
facial expression is all right there. He's just
the
not
passion.
saying lines, Ah, see? And it's the most amazing thing. Because you're like, okay, he's holding it. But
he's
then as you
struggling.
watch the metal start to break, and you watch, see, look, he's tougher than the steel is. What? How awesome is that?
Oh, God, I know.
And we all go, oh my God.
Okay, now, fans have been talking about this for years as to whether or not Aquaman was responsible for this.
Oh, for the whales?
Well, not just the whales, but like the taking down of the oil rig.
Oh, I haven't heard that theory.
Really?
In some
Yeah,
ways, it could make sense if they wanted to.
Yeah, and they don't have to, but it would make sense as to like the whole whales, because I guess Zack said it was an Aquaman Easter egg, so.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I love how they use his powers in this movie. It's not just like, oh, he's here, and all of a sudden he has all these powers that can control them. Like, no, like, they come at different stages in his life, and he struggles to control them.
Yes. Well, and that's the most beautiful thing. That's the one thing that I thought was so awesome the first time I watched it. It was like, oh my gosh, we actually get a realistic approach to this. You're right. It's not like, ta-da, I have powers and it's all good. It's, holy crap, it's frightening and painful and difficult to control and overwhelming, and you know what I mean? Of course it would be. Of course it would be. It all makes perfect sense. It was a beautiful thing to me. It was really, really cool. And anybody who's ever had a kid or whoever was one who just has that sensory overload and stuff like that can identify immediately with this poor kid,
One thing I always applaud the DCEU for is their casting of the young heroes. Like, young Clark, young Bruce and Batman vs. Superman, and even young Diana and Wonder Woman. They're all perfectly cast, and they all look like the younger versions of the actors, too. Like, this kid looks like he could be a young Henry Cavill.
Oh, my gosh. He was so perfect. I was like, oh, my gosh. I mean, A, he's adorable, and B, he just looks like a tiny Henry. Like,
The world's too big, Mom.
I love her so much. You have to love Martha Kent. This is the first introduction we get to her at all. Is this beautiful, caring mother who can talk her son down out of a crisis.
Mm-hmm. And they don't know how to deal with this. They're just doing what they know to do, just being their parents.
They're kind of doing amazing considering there's no rule book and they've never dealt with this before, and it's not anything any human has ever dealt with, They're pretty amazing parents, I gotta say. And that includes Jonathan. All you Jonathan haters can come for me, because I will duke it out with you. So, okay, I'm done now.
I think the Kents are some of my favorite characters in this movie. they're great
They're
parents because again they're well, here come the whales, but
My favorite, I can always just see him.
Yeah.
Hey buddy, you okay? You know, you're not supposed to be down here.
I like the moment you just see Clark emerging from the water. He's like all ripped up and.
Yep. Well, and you start to realize this pattern that this has been continual for him to probably much of his adult life as he's wandering. Because anytime he steps in and saves somebody,
He has to leave.
he can't go back to what he was, exactly, you know, because there'd be too many questions and too many people putting things together. And especially here, my gosh, his pants are burned off. He can't just show up on the ship and be like, you know, on the boat and be like, I'm good, you know. He's got to go start over again, you know.
Yeah.
And so you realize how much on the outside of society he really is.
Yep. And I love how he wears the Kryptonian key around his neck.
Yes. Yeah, and it's always there.
Yep.
So I love how sometimes people like suddenly end up with no clothes or whatever, or very little, and then suddenly like out of some unseen pocket, they're like, and here's this doohickey. And it's like, yeah, my Aiken, where'd you put that? But here, it's always there. It's around his neck. It's part of who he is. He just doesn't know why or how, you know, but he keeps it with him, always.
I love the use of the flashbacks in this.
See, me too, and I love their use of them. And it's funny to me because I think some people who like to criticize don't really understand the elements of storytelling because they're like, I don't understand the flashbacks and this and blah, 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 you know, and it was like, usually it's supposed to, you know, drive the story forward, and it's like, not always, because here, I mean, it's driving it forward, but it's also giving you a clue into the mental, you know, and emotional status of this character.
Yeah.
That is a lot of what flashbacks are used for. This is what their mindset is. This is what life is like for them. This is, you know, how it is.
Because I feel like
And
if
it's a
people,
beautiful story.
yeah, especially in like a Superman origin story, if they were to just do straight flash, like a whole like flashback sequence for like 15, 20 minutes, then people would have complained, oh, you're just doing the same thing.
Exactly. But I heard complaining about, there's too many flashbacks and they're at weird times, and it's like, no, they're not.
They're perfectly placed to explain
done,
like
you know,
Clark's
exactly.
mindset, and it's like he sees the bus and he's like, oh yeah, I remember when I saved the kids from the bus.
Well, and here's my favorite, is like, you see all through his entire life, people in trouble, better go help, even when there was no option of running after that. You know, he just couldn't help it. He can't help it. I don't understand how people could say that this Superman is not heroic, you know?
No, God.
What? Look at him. He can't stop himself,
Yeah, apparently. You know? Well, because they see the destruction in the end and they blame it all on him, and they're like, oh, he killed millions of people, so therefore everyone he saved didn't count.
Not killed millions of people, guys. I do love that video where the guy goes through and like, cha-chings every time somebody gets saved. You know, and like he went through the whole movie, and you see the little counter on the side. Yeah. Every time Superman saves somebody, he goes cha-ching, 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 you know. And then, like, by the time he saves the world, it's like cha-ching, and I'm like, thank you so much. So, yeah.
Because I remember, like, back, it was, like, I think a year after the movie, I made a post, like, showing everyone that he saved, and then I ended it with, he saved the world, and everyone's like, he saves a few dozen people, but then count for the millions of people who he killed.
No.
I'm like, that was all Zod. He might have crashed through a few buildings, but he did not physically kill anyone except Zod.
See, and here we go again. Dylan, Sprayberry?
Yeah.
Oh, that kid just looks like a tiny Henry again.
He
The
really
casting
does.
is amazing. And this is all just so beautiful because you can see, like, they don't quite... All they could do is say, you know, oh, you're imagining it, or you did, you know, there's way more, you know, stuff like that. And Jonathan's nervous. Of course he is. You know, that's what kills me. They're all like, oh, he just taught him how to be fearful. Well, you know what? He taught him how to be cautious because that's Jonathan. And he knows humans. He's not an idiot. Yeah. You know, but anyway, also coming back to the bus really quick, though, I've always loved the storyline of him and Pete. You know, because Pete's kind of a punk, and Pete's kind of a wank, and treating him like a cheeseball. And then it ends with him being... he goes in the water, and there's absolutely no question in Clark's mind that he should go save him too. And I don't want to say that they're best buddies after this, but there was always that respect. Yep. Because he recognized that he really, you know, didn't deserve it. You know, and I love that.
Especially because it's so different because in the comics, you know, Pete and Clark were... in most iterations, they were best friends, and Pete was one of the few people who knew Clark's secret and kept that secret for him. So in this, to have him start out as a guy who was a straight-up bully, to being someone who was there for Clark when he needed him, and ultimately still protects Clark's secret to this day.
It is, again, a tiny, tiny foreshadowing of the way the story goes.
It really is.
You know, you hate him, you treated him like crap for whatever reason. you know, he returns all that nastiness with kindness and help, you know,
Yeah.
and eventually he wins people over, you know,
Yep.
because of his approach, because he is a good guy, just a nice guy, just trying to do the right thing,
Yep.
you know. Yeah, and okay, all the whole hullabaloo over Jonathan and the maybe, you know, again, guys,
There's no easy
he's not
answer.
saying you should let a bus of load of school kids die. He's saying the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and he doesn't know what the right answer is, but he does know the world is gonna crap when they find out about him, you know?
Yeah,
like
that's what he's afraid of.
So, yeah. And you're right, there is no easy answer. I love this scene, though, because
Oh, me
it's
too.
just...
It's the classic. This is very like they did this in Smallville. They've done this in so many iterations of the story.
Yeah.
But to me, like this one, he's like you feel the worry of Jonathan and Martha that they're just trying to protect their son and keep him safe.
Exactly. They're just trying to keep him safe. See, and look at all the maps. Look at all the articles on the wall. They have been paying attention for years trying to find answers for their son. You know, but they've got squat. And, you know, and then him, you could just see, he does a beautiful job.
Yeah,
What
he's
a
a
great
good
little
actor,
actor he is. You know, you just see the weight kind of just falling. I'm like, what the heck? You know? He knew he was different, but wow. You know, this is a gigantic burden.
You were sent here for a reason.
See, people forget that about Jonathan. Jonathan believes he was
Yeah.
sent here for a reason, too, and that he can do good.
Yep.
But you can't be too cautious, because once the cat's out of the bag, you can't put it back.
Yep. And this line coming up breaks my heart.
I'm just pretending I'm your son.
Oh,
I know. Well, and then this son, yeah, there you go, this line.
you are my son.
Exactly. What a beautiful scene.
You have another father too who gave you another name.
Yeah, and he tells him the truth. Like, I'm your father, but you also like you have another. There's someone out there who gave you another name who they are your actual parents. And
Yep. And I don't have answers, and all I know is that you need to find you need to keep looking until you find out what's going on. You know. What a beautiful, beautiful parent. I will fight anyone who has hatred for this Jonathan Kent, you know?
Yep.
I'm tiny, but I will fight you.
Mhm.
Oh, look, it's Douche Canoe.
you know, it's like that singer right there in the background. I guess she's done music for a lot of Zack's movies. Like she did.
I was gonna say,
she did the rendition of Hallelujah for Watchmen.
Yep. And here's the thing I think is funny, where people, haters who just want to find reason to complain, are complaining about these two guys right here talking about what was found and how odd it was and stuff like that. But they forget Clark has super hearing, so they could have very well been speaking in very, very quiet tones that nobody else could hear, but Clark's gonna find it. Okay, and this scene right here, even in the theater, I was like, what the hey? We don't see this.
I know.
I mean, not only did he step in and protect somebody,
he didn't
but
fight
he
back.
didn't swing back. Exactly. There was no bar fight, which is kind of what we all expected.
Well, it's because like, this is like the polar.
Oh, that face.
Oh, God,
See,
I know.
and there, he expects a fight, you know? He just stands there. I mean, this is someone who truly and responsibly understands the damage he could do to human if he lost his temper. You know? I don't know how they could say that he's not heroic. You know?
That's why I think this scene right here is like the polar opposite of like the scene in Superman 2 where Superman goes back to fight the guy, and it's like
just for the sake of beating the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Agreed. You know, this
like,
is a beautiful thing.
he destroys the guy's truck, but he doesn't like physically harm the dude.
Exactly.
Like, he can
And
get
you know
another
what?
truck.
I'm sorry. Dude had it coming, and you know what? If he removes this guy's ability to travel through here and sexually harass this waitress again, I'm all for it. You know, I'm actually not bothered at all. So I'll put that on the record. I'm good with it, Clark. Go ahead, baby. So.
Here comes our first look at Lois Lane.
I love how you're right. The first time I completely missed that was Clark. I was like, la 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 la. Wait, oh wait.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that was him until like the third or fourth time I watched.
It's just like, oh, that
Yeah,
guy.
look, it's a
That
blink and you
was
miss.
really
Like if you didn't think that.
Yep. And he's just so in the background, so covered up. We're all
Yep.
like, anonymous dude. Okay.
And he has, and Clark's, at this point, there had to have been a time to him because he seemed to have been there for a decent amount of time for him to have been trusted to be, you know?
Yep.
Have you seen the picture on Tumblr of like when she says that line, and Clark looks at her and he's like, "I'm Superman."
Right, they are heavy. Okay, yeah, I should pretend like they're heavy. See, here is also really good exposition.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, you're Lois Lane, you're with the Daily Planet, you're here to cover the, stuff like that. No. They work it into the story. He's like, I'm not really a fan of your paper, but man, that stuff when you were embedded with that army unit, that's dangerous stuff, guys.
Yeah.
That was impressive. And she's like, I mean, they very, very quickly set up. She's a badass, she's ballsy, she goes where it's dangerous.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Oh, and also she's extremely direct. Look at her go. I love Lois Lane.
I love this line.
We're done measuring dicks. Can you have your people show me what you found?
NASA's first.
All right then.
Yeah, shelf plays hell in the echo soundings, but there's definitely something down there.
As a fan of like Law and Order SVU, I loved how they had Christopher Maloney in this.
But here's the spooky part.
He makes me so happy. I love his character here.
Oh, God,
I love
me
Hardy.
too.
And honestly, I hate that he died.
Me too. God, me too.
Back, curses.
Because
So big for us that Kryptonians back.
Can you imagine?
Too.
Can you imagine how different Batman versus Superman would have been if he was still around and was out there defending Superman?
I agree. I completely agree.
There's our boy.
So it was unfortunate that he ended up, having to do what he did. Now he did what he should have done, and he was a good soldier, good man. But dang it, fuck it. And she's like, all right then, this thing. This is not a flower, guys. She can handle herself. I admit, I missed the whole Smallville, everything. I never saw it, and so I'm not bothered by people who love it. That's totally cool. But these two right here, just my favorite Lois and Clark of all time. They just work for me, They move me in ways that none of the other ones ever did.
Yeah. Speaking of Smallville, like they showed like the guy who was like going over how old the ice is surrounding the object.
Yeah.
That guy played Emil Hamilton in Smallville.
Okay, see, there's no way this is coincidence.
Zach did it on purpose.
Okay, we'll
too.
go ahead and just pop you right in there. Sweet.
And of course, they all probably would say, "Oh hell yeah, I want to be in a movie." Are you kidding me?
Exactly. Okay, let's do this thing. And I love how I don't know, people. I'm usually the first to complain about the damsel heading out and getting herself in distress. I really am. I admit it. I hate that trope. It annoys me.
Yeah, I get
But
that
at the
too.
same time, this one never has, because they set it up from the very beginning. She doesn't get emotional about it. It's her pursuit of truth ways. And she's not afraid to go and search it out, even if it gets dangerous. I admit, I'm a weenie. I would stay back and be like, I don't want to freeze to death. I'm gonna stay here. I admit it. But she's not, and that's okay. I can respect that in her character. And it's always the search for truth, and not like, oh, I'm overly emotional and I need to run off into danger. That I hate, But she is just gonna go and find out the truth, no matter what it takes.
Same. Yeah.
And honestly, it's a blessing they ended up together. She'd probably be toast by now, and I like her, so I'm okay with him saving her as many times as it takes.
Yeah. Now, did you ever read that Man of Steel prequel comic that came out?
The one about
Supergirl?
The original ship, I think I vaguely drifted through it once. I didn't get all of it, but I got the basics.
Yeah, so basically, this is Supergirl's ship.
And I always wondered, and one's open, see?
Yeah, and that one was her pod, yeah.
Bring that back, or they gonna,
I don't know, because I think, that's why, I think, because they're doing that Supergirl show on the CW, I think they might hold back on doing Supergirl in the movies for a bit.
Agreed.
And especially if we haven't even gotten an announcement of Man of Steel 2, I doubt we're going to see Supergirl. I mean, she very well could be in the sequel, and that very could, they could...
That would be cool.
Yeah, it would be.
That would be cool. See, and here, where I'm like, holy crap, that's like the first thing to hurt him since we've started watching.
Yep.
He's actually bleeding. Okay.
He's like, oh, well, okay then.
This whole scene is just, it's really fascinating to watch both of them discover this ship, and it's just, it's so interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. See, again, it's so different from the original Superman movies or even Smallville. This Clark has no idea where he's from, so he's looking at all of this and he's like, Yeah, he
Yep,
has so
not
many
even the
questions he wants
foggiest.
to ask, and he sees the ghost, and he doesn't know this, but he sees the ghost of his dad, and he's like, wait, where's this person? I need to get some answers.
Exactly. You got to follow it. You got to. And it's really cool to watch him search for them. And that's what he's been doing this whole time. I guess a whole lot of people are like, oh, he's so emo. He's just wandered for years. Well, of course he has. He's been looking, guys. He's been searching. He's trying to find answers, and he's finally got there.
Here's the pod.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, it's open.
I know. Now this right here, like when people were complaining about, like, it doesn't bug me. She's just doing what she's doing, and she's like trying to get evidence of all this stuff.
Yep.
She doesn't know it's gonna attack her.
Exactly, and right there, it could be a threatening moment, but it didn't do anything until the flash went off. And honestly, I could see myself making that mistake and not realizing that might be an issue. I totally could see that.
I love
I'm
this. He
scared.
just grabs it and just smashes it.
I love how he struggles for a second and then he kind of like, just hunkers down and, okay, now I got it.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
And you can understand her like struggling. She's like, "Hey, there's this guy who's like throwing himself on me." Like, I don't know what to do. And he's like,
and
"Hey,"
then
he's
he
like,
backs
"Hey, it's
off,
okay."
he makes eye contact. He was such a gentleman this whole movie. I remember, that's all I could say coming out the first, second, third time. I was like, he's such a gentleman. There's something different about him.
Yeah.
He's just not your classic hero, and I love that. Yeah, and you can squeeze as tight as you want, huh? It's okay.
And one thing I love too, this is a subtle thing, but the way they designed his heat vision, that it's like you see the veins in his eye, like around his eyes, and it looks like it's kind of painful. And every time he's done, he has to like shake his head.
Exactly. It
like
does
recover.
come with pain. It does come with a consequence, and the effect of it building in his eyes, and you can see it coming out through the blood vessels and stuff, is the coolest thing I have ever seen. It made it very real, and I was like, okay, he's got heat vision. I can accept this.
Yep.
It was no problem whatsoever. That, and I've heard many discuss, or I think I've probably seen it a couple times, but like people talk about how his first act, like of heat vision, is scouring through the ice and then healing somebody. Not for destruction or hurting others, and it was like, yep, this is why he's my Superman,
Same. Again, it's the little things that make him stand out as Superman to me, that make him so relatable, and make him like makes me realize, that he is my Superman. He is the Superman of my generation. He's the one I would aspire to be. Not to say that like I wouldn't look up to past Supermans, because I have. But they're
all just fine.
Yeah.
They just don't move me, So they don't move me emotionally. They don't move me on a deeper level. He does. So. Oh, and also, I'm so sick and tired of people whining and boobing about Lois being left on the glacier. Yeah. How much time do you think actually passed between when they left with the ship and they found her? You know what I mean? Like, yes, it was dark and then it's light, but there's no way she was sitting out there all night, and there's no way Clark could be like, all right, you turn into a popsicle, and I'll just take this ship. Not in a million years. But see, when people want to criticize, they will find reasons. Yeah. So when they're looking for it, you can always find something to criticize if you look hard enough.
Yeah. I love this version of Perry White so much. Yeah.
Oh, he's wonderful. He is so wonderful, and I love her. Of course they are. They're the Pentagon. I mean, that's what they do.
Yep. I thought she's like, print it or I walk. He's like, nope, you can't.
She's like, ah. See, I love it because she's very tough and she's very, very driven.
Yep.
And yet, he's just and so he's the one person that she like comes up against professionally and like,
because he gets it.
Just
like,
bulldoze her way through. Yeah. That smile. Oh no, Lois.
Yeah, and then remember when this guy pops up in Batman vs Superman when they were going through the whole
Yes, and I was like, you little punk. I never liked you. Me too, Lois.
I remember, I'll be honest, the first time I saw the movie, I had a hard time taking away the fact that it was Amy Adams portraying Lois Lane. Like removing the actress from the role. But the more I've seen the movie, the more I'm just like, she embodies every aspect of Lois Lane that you could possibly want.
Me too. I had that exact same experience. And the more I watch, I'm like, holy crap. And you start catching the subtle nuances that she doesn't have in other performances. And you go, this is not Amy Adams playing Amy Adams. This is Amy Adams playing Lois Lane. And there is a difference. So I agree.
And this is one of my favorite scenes coming up.
Oh, me too.
even though you know it's not actually Jor-El, you can still feel the emotion there.
Yes,
Now, remember, do you ever watch the... I don't watch them anymore because I think they're too critical of the DC... But, like, the How It Should Have Ended videos on YouTube, you ever seen those?
yeah, I watched this one, and I was quite annoyed by it, because it was like, oh, okay. So the peaceful hero who tries to conserve life should there go ahead and just obliterate, before even knowing that they're a threat, and that's how it should have ended. You guys don't understand Superman at all, do you? So, yeah.
but the one thing I did find, the only thing I found about that was kind of funny, when, like, Jor-El made a copy of his consciousness, but not Lara's, and she's like, I'm his mother! That was the only thing I was like, okay, that's kind of funny.
I agree. It's like crap. So that would have been nice. Yeah. I think, unfortunately, from a writing perspective, it just clutters it up too much.
It does.
There just seems to be too many people. And what's she going to do? Just stand there while Russell Crowe talks, or while Jor-El, speaks? Yep. Or divide up the lines, which then, our focus is constantly shifting, and it would be weird. It would be difficult. I admit it, But I also agree it's too bad, because I'd love to see both of them there.
God, I love the way that I remember there's a name for what all this technology. It's like Geo something. Geos.
Yeah.
Geos.
Yeah.
It's visually great because it's all one color, but like you see like.
It's got such dimension to it, and the way it moves and everything. It's really beautiful. You're right. It's quite amazing. And I'm letting you know, it's a great effect that we have not seen before. Yeah.
And to spoil a little bit of Wonder Woman, there's a very similar sort of storytelling mechanism in Wonder Woman that's also like I was mentioning earlier, visual parallel to this scene. Right
awesome.
Here. So you'll know what it is when you see it.
I was gonna say I'm sure I will, and hopefully I won't be like woo, and embarrass myself. So.
General Zol. Attempted a coup. But by then it was too late.
And this thing right there, when they show Clark's ship, that was an Easter egg of the original Superman movie, because that's how Clark's ship looked in that movie.
Awesome! I don't think I realized that. Oh, thank you.
See, Zack is a fan. He's not just saying here like, oh, here's my movie, like screw the rest. No. He's he's honoring Smallville. He's honoring the original movies. Like he's.
Yep, he's honoring the comic. He's honoring all the source material, but he's just putting a new spin on it. Fan fiction writers do this all day long, and yet somehow it's not a problem. So, yeah.
It's because when it's fan fiction, I feel like, because obviously there's not as big of an audience, and then just like, when people see like the visual, like, embodiment of this version, and they'll see things that they're like, oh, this isn't the Superman I grew up with. Oh, this isn't what I already imagined Superman should be.
Yeah.
Then they walk out disappointed because they walked in with a preconceived notion of what it should have been.
Exactly. And honestly, that's like the biggest thing you can do is to hurt yourself, when it comes to expectations like that. Is to have preconceived notions or to build up your expectations so high that nothing could ever possibly meet them. And that is becoming a major cycle because of the insane amount of promotion that films now see. It gets you so hyped up. A lot of people in their head get it so... their expectations are so amazingly high that there is no way that film could ever actually deliver on what their expectations are, and then they walk out let down. And it's like, well, granted, part of it is probably because of the promotion, and the other part is because they're allowing themselves to do it. We cannot do that.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying go in with none, but, you got to be really careful. It's a very delicate line. And I love this whole suit. I've heard people complain about it, but I think it's a beautiful thing. Well, and it makes total sense. That was Supergirl's ship, then, you've got people on there who are going to have that symbol.
Yep.
This one was more ceremonial, which is why it's got colors versus the basic utilitarian black. Like, it all
even
makes
Jor-El's
sense.
is a little more colorful than the traditional black that Zod wore. He has a gold emblem compared to Zod's just all black.
You are right. And it's awesome. And I can't remember who online somebody talked, I think it was Captain Dove, talked about how every time he puts on the suit, he is becoming the bridge. See, even right here. He's the bridge between those two worlds. See the one destroyed on the left, which is Krypton. Him in the middle, in the suit of his people, and then Earth on the other side. He is the bridge between those two, just like Jor-El has talked about. And so that suit isn't just like, I'm going to put it on because it's got an S and I'm awesome and super. This means something to me. This is my people, That is beautiful. Oh, that cape. Can I have that cape? I just want that cape.
Earth's gravity is weaker, yet its atmosphere is more nourishing.
One of my favorite scenes coming up.
I was going to say, I'm just going to watch for a few minutes.
No, yeah, me too.
So pretty. I love this whole scene. Everything about it.
Yep. again, honoring the original source material and, like, leaping tall
Yes.
buildings and a seeing single bound.
Thank you. I was thinking the same thing. Oh, look, he's happy. Look, guys, he smiled.
Oh, God. Apparently people forget that.
Oh, crap. Oh, see, that would be me. Okay, I had it for a second.
Yep.
All right, dude, takes practice. See, I love how he breaks the mountain coming down.
Oh,
You
God, I
realize
know.
how made of steel he is, you know? They didn't call this movie Superman. They called him Man of Steel.
Yep.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards.
And, of course, this whole speech we all adore.
Yep.
Stumble.
And it's such a beautiful thing put together with his first attempt to fly and his failure.
Join you in the
And then
sundown.
him trying it again with new resolve.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, is another tiny
You will help
foreshadowing of the way his story goes.
wonders.
He showed himself to the world as Superman. He tried to do it. He ended up crashing and burning and getting buried.
Yep.
And he will come back, and he will have new resolve.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Such a
I
great
love
score.
Big flying. I love everything about the way they depicted how it's powerful and how it's got, like, you know, air distortion, how he breaks air distortion.
Yep. And if you notice, they have like the old school like flying noise in the background when he does it.
Yep.
God, this score just gets me so pumped. Like I've
Oh, I
seriously,
know.
I've literally worked out to this music.
Oh, it is the most amazing thing. I agree. I have driven to it, but you have to be careful because then I end up driving really aggressively in the action scenes. So.
Yeah, same boat right there.
Oh, such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, look at him right here.
He's
He's
his turns and
There's
the
his-
twists.
yeah.
He's like he's working out the whole. You know, he's getting the feel for this new car. You know. What a thing of beauty. And for some reason, this I've always found so beautiful.
yeah. And
And
I
of
think that this
course-
part right here with him flying out in
Yep.
space is also kind of like a nod to the Christopher Reeve era because the movies all used to
It
end
is.
that way.
It is, and it is so beautiful.
It really is. And I love this with this interpretation of Lois Lane, how she figures out that Clark is Superman before he's
Oh,
even
me too.
Superman. And that,
Me
like,
too.
because she's not dumb, she's not going to fall for the glasses disguise that so many interpretations in the past have fallen for.
Yep. When they had their first meeting of her, you know, and him before he's even Superman.
Yep.
And the coolest thing is I watched this whole movie, and then I left, and I was feeling pretty good because I liked it. And we got out, and my husband went, well, they didn't even have her, like, she knows that he's Superman. What happened to where she's supposed to be working with Clark and not even realize it? And I was like, oh, you're right. I had not even missed it. And I don't miss it. There's something to that idea. There's nothing wrong with it per se, except that it makes the woman look stupid.
Yeah.
But here, they ended up with a much more intimate and beautiful connection, and
Yeah.
that she is one of the first ones to figure it out, tracks him down, hello, good investigative skills, and accepts him for who he is. What a beautiful, beautiful love story. That's way better than anybody else with her crushing on Superman and Clark standing right there.
Yeah.
You know? Way better. It's a gorgeous thing, and this is why these guys move me more than anybody else. And I love how she tracks him down. I love how I think it was I forgot his name, but you know he talked about how the farther they got into the script, he was like, but it just seems like she's stupid. It seems like she's dumb, and it seems like we can't seem to get away from the fact that she's too stupid, to figure it out. So let's just dispense with all of that. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't miss it.
Me neither. No, and especially like now that these movies, like no one talks about it anymore because everyone just accepts it. Whether you like for the people who love Batman vs Superman or not, like they don't talk about that anymore. Like no one cares.
Exactly. It's not an essential thing. It's a beautiful thing.
And
I do love
a real like you see the bond between them because she knows the secret, and no matter what, and even with the threat of global annihilation, she says, "I'm not going to give him up."
Yep. And it's beautiful to me that she perfectly pegs him right there, and he goes, "Oh, I'll just disappear again." And she goes, "I think the only way you can actually really disappear for good is to stop helping people, and you can't seem to do that." She's got his character pegged before they ever meet again, when she realizes he's this guy who cannot not help people.
Yep.
Because of how he is and the skills and powers that he has, he can't just stand by and let people suffer, so he's going to help. And so she'll always be able to track him down if she pays attention to the people getting helped in odd circumstances.
Yep.
You know, and that right there is such a beautiful thing. I've wanted to write a story about it forever. Like, you know, like, she's probably half in love with him before she ever finds him again, and it's not because she's insanely attracted to this dark stranger, it's because she's realizing he's just a nice guy trying to do the right thing. She has found his heart before they ever get any further into this.
Yep.
Okay, now I'm gonna stand by it. Watch the beats here. Watch the beats. Mm-hmm. He puts Martha in Clark's care because he knows Clark will never run into danger if he's looking after Martha, because he'll always make sure his mom is safe first. He puts himself in the danger. Oh, I wonder where Clark learned his heroic skills, guys.
Yep.
I just don't know. Helps the woman with her daughter because she's stuck. And then here we go. No. And he gives him the kid. The minute he's got the kid, he knows darn well Clark won't run back into danger even for him because he's got the kid.
Yep.
This guy knows how his son operates, and he will do whatever it takes to keep him out of the action, even if it means putting himself in there. Now, a lot of people whine and complain, and a lot of people want to say Jonathan's stupid for risking his life, or Clark is stupid for not doing it. But you know what? I still stand by this scene, and I always will. Because in the end, it mattered more to Jonathan that his son stay safe until he decides the time is right to reveal himself.
Yep.
And in the end, especially after the argument in the car, Clark respected his father's wishes. He's not entirely sure if he did the right thing. He lost his father, you know, but he respected what his father wanted. That's a heck of a lot of beauty in my estimation.
And people talk about, like, in Man of Steel, how, like, Henry was wooden. This scene right here, to me, explains that he's not wooden. Just, like, look at it. Look at this right here.
You look how he looks back. He's like, I don't care if people are here, I'm going. And it was only his father that stopped him. And it was his respect for his father's choice and decision that led him to wait there. Oh, this scene breaks my heart every time. It's a beautiful thing, and I get angry at people who don't seem to understand what's going on here, you know? I don't know if they're not engaging, I don't know if they just want to criticize, but look at all the beauty there. And again, Lois makes the choice she does here because she's also respecting Jonathan's decision because Clark respects it.
Yeah.
Which is why she's not giving him up. You're right, even under the threat of, you know, Earth annihilation.
Better watch out, Lois. Perry's gunning for you.
Okay, I kind of miss this guy. I kind of wish he was back.
I know,
in that
I wonder where...
Just because he's so annoying, but I love him.
know. And then that's all the character's really there to be for, and he's fine. But like, even though he's annoying, when it comes down to it, he was gonna do the right thing and save Jenny at the end, or try to.
I loved, because, you know, he's a punk, he's a cheese, and we're all like, oh, what a dork, smack him around. Oh, but look, when it matters, he comes through.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how it is.
What happened to you?
Say, yep.
They didn't have
Perry's like, I don't buy it.
Well, perhaps it just didn't get the
No.
traction you hoped it would. 2 weeks leave, no pay, that's your penance. You try something like this again, you're done here. No, let's make it 3 weeks since you're so willing to agree with me.
Harry.
No, don't. I believe you saw something, Lois.
And I like how, like, Perry, like, is believing her story, but or believing in this, but he's like, you can't just say, oh, my leads went cold, you know?
And that, again, comes down to, I love the way the story is written. He doesn't just go, okay, good, you're dropping it. You were insane and crazy anyway, and I'm sure you didn't see it. You know, you're lame and untrustable. It was simply, I believe you. I think you did, but the world would go nuts. And that's the whole point that they're trying to make in this film, is that the world is not going to just blindly accept this new creature, you know, from another planet.
Yeah.
When we, you know, and so, yeah.
Here comes one of our first LexCorp Easter eggs.
Yep.
In that truck.
I just love this whole scene between him and his mom.
Oh, God,
Every
me
scene
too.
between him and his mom, you know. But it's just such a beautiful thing. They have such a wonderful relationship.
They do.
It's quite clear. He goes wandering. He comes back, you know. She, again, see, he's not like, oh, I should stay near the farm and help out my mom, you know. She's like, I got this. I'm fine. You know, she's fine on her own. She doesn't fall apart because her husband and her son are gone. See? Notice the trend? You know, she just does her business. And he goes wandering and comes back, and she's always happy to see him.
I mean, even though you know that Jonathan's gone, I still love Clark's relationship with Martha, and just like no matter like even in Batman vs Superman when he's struggling, he flies over to her because he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, tell me what.
Calls her exactly. It's such a beautiful thing. And right here, see, you can tell. Oh, every adoptive mother would understand this. She is happy for him.
But also, she doesn't want to lose
What a
him.
beautiful thing. But at the same time, it's like, oh, but I don't want to lose you. You know, it's a scary thing for any mother. And, you know, and he immediately clues in.
Yeah. But at the same time, when the way Clark explained it to, he made it seem like, oh, like, he didn't say, oh, I found out, like, about my family. He said, oh, I found them. I found my parents.
Yep.
So for her, when she hears that, she's like, oh.
Yeah. And that's a little scary. But also, see right here where she's talking about how it was hard for him to breathe as a baby.
Yeah.
You know, she worries about more than just him finding his people and going off with them. I think she recognizes that this is the next step in his journey. If he's got answers to who he is, he might start thinking now, okay, what do I do now? You know,
Yeah.
She's scared of the way the world will react, as she should be. You know,
Yeah.
and as her fears are perfectly validated by the next film.
Yeah.
Oh, I love these two, though.
God, me too.
They are so wonderful. So cute. Stop it.
General Swanwick, sir.
And I'm always surprised. I'm like, oh, yeah, we haven't met him yet. Okay. Hey, yeah, what's up, Swanwick? You know, like, I forget. Because he's so heavy in the second half, sometimes I forget that we go half the movie before I ever actually see him.
It's because I remember watching this for the first time, and I'm like, and when they're showing the ship, I'm like, oh, like that was quick. Like, oh, like Zod's already here.
All right, I know. We just got here, man.
Communicating with it.
Well, they haven't responded as of yet.
I'm just speculating. But I think whoever's at the helm of that thing is looking to make a dramatic entrance.
Yeah. Tend to be dramatic.
Like, it's like alert, and it's just a printer.
I do like that.
Okay, now this part, like, it's cool, but it's also like, imagine being in this situation and seeing an alien ship orbiting Earth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. One of the first reviews I read that was positive, like, after I watched it, I, like, went and hunted down every review because I was just so curious and wanted more and more and more. And one of them mentioned how it was less a superhero story and more of a first contact story.
Yep, exactly.
And that always
Exactly
stuck with me, and it's true because they really did approach it as not, what would happen if this dude showed up and was like, I'm a hero now, and the world went, yeah, sure you are, cool, we got a hero now. And what would happen if a guy from another planet showed up and people went, whoa, wait, what? There's life out there?
Yep.
You know, like, I mean, yes, there would be a huge reaction. This is so the most real approach I've ever seen. And it really, it's really cool. See, and again, oh, look, that's his vision, you know, like, sometimes we forget he's got super vision and super hearing and all that kind of stuff, so I love how they show it to us.
Yeah.
And you're right, this would just be creepy as crap.
It would be. It's almost like a horror movie, this part.
Yes, just like the elements
almost
of
like The Ring, almost, with, like the static, like, video, and...
Yep, and the ghostly light, and, you know, the slow, cautious
and the noise, too, the noise is very creepy.
Yes, Zack is really good at imbuing a little bit of horror into his stuff. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I love how the "You Are Not Alone" message, like, it translates to every nationality, every country, that is not just all in English.
Yes. No, and I appreciate that, because you're right. This is a worldwide incident. It's not just the U.S. And it should be.
It's funny, because I remember, and for the marketing for this movie, they had this whole "You Are Not Alone" campaign. And with one of the last trailers, how they released it was, you had to you're trying to unlock the trailer. I can't remember what it was exactly, but you had to do something to unlock the trailer, and this was the first thing that you saw in the trailer was Zod's message.
Oh, holy crap! Really?
Yeah.
Awesome. See, this is why, honestly, I think in a lot of what they do, you know, Zack's really trying to bring this into the real world, and he's trying to do it for us as well. Which is why we haven't got a whole lot of Superman for Justice League yet, although I saw the popcorn buckets and I freaked out. But, you know, like, he's really trying very hard to bring our world and this world together so that they're seamless and they're all the same.
Sometime your world has sheltered one of my citizens. I request that you return this individual.
And I love how Zack makes like Henry wear such loose-fitting clothes, but also show like the top portion of his chest with his chest hair.
Yep. Well, and I love it. It makes total sense. Of course, he's wearing the loose-fitting clothes because he's trying to hide his physique and how amazingly, strong he actually is. Look at all those muscles.
I remember that was watching the behind the scenes of Batman vs Superman 2. Like they had Clark's clothes physically be more loose to hide the fact that he is this hulking dude.
Yep.
Yep,
big and strong. All right, Henry hits it just perfectly when he says his Superman, his Clark Kent, is trying to be as small as possible. And it is true. He's just trying to kind of be tiny and blend in with the world.
Yep.
And he does a good job, actually.
He does, yeah. One thing that I remember some people criticized is that, like, Zod can have HD sound, but the video looks like it's from, like, the 90s and it's bad reception. And it's like, if you think about it, it's an alien ship. Like,
yeah. You can't guarantee those.
Like, they're not gonna have like HD webcams broadcasting with a boom mic and all. It's. This guy's such a punk right here.
Yes, he is such a man. I cannot believe you did that.
I remember saying that, like, with the audience, like, the first time I saw this movie, the audience loved it. Like, other than my screening of the Ultimate Edition in LA, my first screening of Man of Steel, everyone went crazy about it. Like. I remember when I saw the critic reviews, I'm like, I don't get it. Like,
that was me. I'm like, how can you? I'm confused. I just don't know. Humans are seemingly intelligent. That's all I can say. So, and see right here, I love, like, she's like, I'm out. And they did the whole, you can see the behind the scenes things. There was more to this. They showed her run all the way down the flights of steps. They're chasing her with a handheld camera. She went through the laundry room. They're chasing her with a handheld camera. She comes down the alley. I mean, that's really cool, You get really good. She's like, ha beat ya.
Like, well, we meet again.
It's you, I know. One of my favorite scenes.
Me too.
I could say it's about every scene, but
One thing I can say is that priest's hair really got gray from the time of Man of Steel to Batman vs Superman.
You hit that weird tipping point in your age where, like, you stay the same for so long, and then all of a sudden everything starts changing, and they caught him just perfect in that window.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that, like, I know this kid has a name and that he's an Easter egg, but at the same time, because of his hair color and his face, I always somewhat equated him with the priest and thought, wouldn't it be interesting if, like, he moved on from this punk to being an actual peaceful priest.
Well, no, so the name isn't exactly the same, but the bully right there is supposed to be an Easter egg to one of the main characters in Smallville's first season, who was very much so the same kind of character.
Yes.
And also in the same exact scene at that garage where it says Sullivan's, that's also an Easter egg to one of the Smallville characters, Chloe Sullivan, who was one of Clark's best friends.
Well done, Zach. See, again, though, I love it. And see, again, they're like, oh, they're just showing him being bullied again. What's the use of this flashback? That's not the point of this flashback, guys. The point of this flashback is Clark having to decide when he's going to act and when he's not, because him acting carries way more consequences than anybody else acting. That's the whole thing. The bully's trying to provoke him into doing something because he's a weird kid, and they've all heard stories. So let's make the weirdo do something and see what happens. Mm-hmm. And he manages to hold it in, He crushes a fence post. Whoa. But he holds it in. And see, again, Jonathan's saying, you got to decide what kind of man you're going to grow up to be. This is not about him being bullied. This is about him having to make serious choices about what he's going to do and how he's going to be.
Yep.
Because, again, he could be good or bad depending on which way he goes. Jonathan's a good dad. Fight
he really
me.
Is. And to me, that scene showed, like, the effect that Clark has on the people around him. Like, he went from, like, Pete changed from being another punk to being a guy who would stand up to Clark, or stand up for Clark,
Exactly. See? What a beautiful thing. And I love it. Gulp. I know, what?
Some people have criticized, like, this one aspect of both Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman with all the religious undertones, but at the same time, like, ever since his creation, like, Superman has been, like, an amalgamation of the Moses story as well as the Jesus story of the Bible, So, like, all these religious comparisons that Zack makes that I don't I don't mind, because someone who grew up in being a Christian, like, I don't
Yeah.
see it's like, oh, I just see a guy who's just trying to force this Jesus message. It's like, no, it's like, Superman very much is so, it's like this like immigrant story of a guy who's this like godlike being the world kind of sees him as the savior he's not necessarily trying to be, and it's just
But at the same time, sometimes his actions carry savior-like, consonants, or savior-like components, even when he's not a savior. And throughout the scriptures, like, there have been many types and shadows of Jesus, and Moses is one of them. So it makes sense that created by two Jewish boys to be, a symbol of Moses. He's still going to echo as a symbol of Jesus, because they echo each other. And so, see it again. It's perfect. He shows up. Guns! Get the guns! We don't know how to respond to this. Get the ammo! Yeah, that's how we would do it. You know what? So, but I agree, and I heard a lot of complaints about the ham-fisted, overbearing symbolism, and I'm like, obviously you don't really understand when people actually do that, because that was actually fairly understated.
Yeah, I know.
And it's setting us up to be like, oh, he's like Jesus, and then in Batman we're like, he's not like Jesus. He's just a guy trying to do the right thing.
Yep.
Oh crap, and we trip into it just so easy in this one, because we're all thinking it. And then we get to the next one when we realize what he actually is. It's a very beautiful, multiple, storyline. It's very cool. Yeah. And I love these two right here.
I love
they just work all day long. They make me so happy. Look at him. He's like, well, And I've heard complaints about, well, she's such a B. I mean, she's like, oh, it's here, it's an S here, and it's like, no, what she's saying is, no matter what you do, people are gonna look an S, because that's what we know here, So you get to look at his face, is like, this is true, I love their flirting at the table. They make me laugh. They're in federal custody, and it's like, we're just gonna flirt across this table.
And one thing I know this might have bothered some, I think, originally, but they only use the name Superman in one scene in this entire movie. Because when you think about, I mean, I get it in this real world context, to have a being flying around called Superman,
sounds kind of corny.
Yeah, it does sound corny. But then by the time, but if you realize, by the time you get to Batman vs Superman, you're used to it already, even though you only heard it a few times within.
Yes, it works. But see, I love it, and especially that goes for the argument that many have made, where you look at this film. He's emerged now, wearing the suit and stuff like that. He's got an S. Lois tenders the name Superman, but it gets obliterated. Yeah. Oh, gosh dang it, I missed it. Okay, see that double reflection right there? We just missed it.
Oh, yeah.
Of him standing, and his reflection there. That is the perfect symbolism of the child of two worlds. Yeah. He's on both sides, and it's really, really cool. Also, as an outsider, And then, of course, he's out in the middle of freaking nowhere, and who's standing there next to him? Lois. The visual symbolism is beautiful. Thank you, Zack. This whole scene makes me cry. It's so beautiful. Sorry, I love it. I love it so much, because he really, tells her that it meant something, and she reaches first. She reaches for his hand. That's just, they're so beautiful together. So, anyway, but yes, and I can't remember what point we're at, but I agree. This whole film is him emerging as Superman, and he's not truly born as that superhero
this is about his. This is his origin story. He's not he's not out there saving people in it.
Now that's what we'll call you 87 times until the end of the movie. They don't do it, and I do love how he tells her to go, and she hesitates because of course she does. She's Lois Lane, and he's like, you should go. So she does, out of respect for him. This whole scene is beautiful too. Just the very stark. The desert, the sky, and him in his suit and that red cape. It's really
You said that the ship almost looks like a beetle or something, the way it's...
Yes. And I love that. See, again, they're going back to the organic idea. Everything in that planning was organic. No straight lines, I think is what they said. It was everything needs to be, See, and I love the reactions, because they're all like, holy crap, these are aliens, but they kind of look like that.
Except for Harry Lennox, you're just like, well...
Swanwick's like, whatever. Feora, you kind of rock, honey. She does so good. Look at her. Up head to toe. And she looks a little bit like,
And so I remember I saw this opening night with my best friend, and he's not into like superhero movies really. Like he saw this with me because he knew how excited I was for it. He's like, okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
He walked out of it and he's like, Feyor was my favorite character in that. And I'm like, I knew she would be.
Yep. See, and again, Hardy throws a hissy fit about her wanting Lois.
Oh, yeah.
They were totally good with handing over the alien.
Yep.
But you didn't say one of our own. He's not one of them. They do not picture him that way. Doesn't matter how long he's been there. This is really a beautiful immigrant story.
And I love the tension between Hardy and Feyor throughout the entire movie.
Oh yes, they set it up immediately.
Yep.
You know, because she gives him a threat and he's like, no, and she singles him out as, ooh, I'm gonna kill him later. You know, because you're right. How dare he? How dare he backsass me? And I do love it. I love how they set it up. I love how even Clark's tension of what? No, she shouldn't go. You know, is immediately present. You know, it's just
Yep.
It's such a beautiful thing.
I love how he's stressing her with the key, and he's like, not yet.
Yep. Just that tiny little head shake. See, it's beautiful. And she's like, okay. Communicating without words is their thing, and I love it. Oh, what a cool effect. It's so neat. Tiny beetle, meet mama beetle.
Yep.
What a neat use of light, though.
Oh, God, I
Turns
know.
around, and you're blinded for a second. You can't quite see, and then he emerges.
General Zod, our commander.
And I love how like Zod he's not trying to set himself up as like, oh, Kal-El, I
No,
need the Codex.
no,
he's like, hey, like I'm
You're
Zod,
gonna
you know.
go
It's,
ahead and just be friends, you know. See, it's fine.
even though he does have an
Thanks.
ulterior motive, he does like he's trying to establish that like we are the same people. There's no need to fight right now.
Yes, exactly.
And he's hoping that Clark's gonna understand why he's gonna be doing what he's doing.
Exactly. Yep.
Projecting our ship's atmospherics.
And this is the first time you really see like an adaptation of the Superman story where like when Superman doesn't have his powers, it's not just like, oh, it's just the powers are off and it's like a switch. It's like, no, like it's physically affecting him, like because he didn't grow up in that atmosphere.
It's suffering. You're right. It's spitting up blood. It's passing out. You're right. And I love that. Everything about it. It's physical and real. Love that transition. I don't know why. It's just really cool. They like shoot from one to the other and suddenly like, wait, whoa.
Yeah.
What just happened?
Or do you prefer Clark? That's the name they gave you.
And I love how like all the Kryptonians almost have like their own like suit, and Zod's like all black.
The only thing
Yep.
we agreed on
Yep.
was that
His black cape. He wears it well.
for my efforts to protect our civilization and save our planet.
I did love how, you know, when they got the party, he was like, I'm not going to have to wear one of those stupid motion capture suits, am I? And they were like, no! And then they were like, yeah, okay, the armor's too heavy to carry, and, you know, this isn't going to work. Okay, yeah, you're going to have to, he says, Zack said he showed up on set, and Michael gave him this look while he's wearing it, and he's like, you know, what's up?
We're adrift, destined to float amongst the ruins of our planet.
And see, and it's not like they hated Krypton. They love their world. That's why like, they're upset.
Exactly, they were angry, but yeah, she's weeping for her home world. He's consoling her, you know what I mean? Again, it's okay, this is gone and this hurts, but we have to preserve what we can. So what's our next step? You know, everything about it is methodical. And you're right, it is for one purpose.
Became our salvation.
You know, it's one thing I kind of forget to notice sometimes too is that like they floated for like what 30 years, right? So Clark's gonna look more or less the same for at least for the next 30 years.
Ah, lucky skunk. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Cut off from Krypton these outposts with
He's wearing like Zod almost looks like Buzz Lightyear right there.
we salvage
Doesn't he with the
In the
bowl?
Phantom Zone and beyond, he really does. Okay. But see, and they're laying the seeds. They're dropping the seeds for terraforming here. It's a beautiful thing. They did it earlier when Jor-El was talking about, you know, their colonies.
You know what's
It's
funny?
just such a nice thing.
One thing I just realized now, that, like looking at all this Kryptonian technology, pretty much all of the Kryptonian technology that was left from the end of this like it was relatively untouched from in Batman vs Superman. Like the world engine in the Indian Ocean is just sitting there in the ocean, like no one's there.
Except it's broken, and they did pull kryptonite out of it, but that's about it. So.
I wonder if any of that Kryptonian technology, other than obviously the creation of Doomsday, is going to have any more of a role in the DCEU moving forward.
You do have to wonder.
Because Zack, he went back to it to create Doomsday, and I wouldn't hold.
I loved how he went back to it because it was all cause and effect. It was beautifully done. This is just such a, I don't know, it's such a cool vision.
Yeah.
It's a cool moment, you know.
And you know what's funny? The first time I saw it, I didn't even realize that his suit turned black.
Okay, me neither. Thank you. I thought I was crazy, and then later I was like, "Oh, wait, his suit was black." You know, it did not compute.
And it's funny.
And now I'm like, "Well, of course it is." I can't believe I didn't do that, but I did not catch it at first.
Yeah, it's funny because you probably know by now. So I'm like really into collecting those like little Funko Pop figures.
Yeah.
And so like I have like the ones from Man of Steel. And there's one of Clark in that black suit, but they only had them at the Comic-Con from the year that Man of Steel came out. And other than that, you can't find them, and they're worth like over $100 now.
That's
like,
awesome.
No, yeah, and I'm like, so I didn't have one for the longest time. And then last year, right before Batman vs Superman, and then you know Shannon on Tumblr, right? Yeah, so she was like, she posted a picture of her pops, and she had the black suit Superman, and I'm like, oh, you're so lucky. And she messaged me, and she's like, hey, do you just want my figure? I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, that's worth a lot of money. Are you sure? She's like, yeah, it's fine. You probably have more use for it than I do. I'm like, yeah, thanks. And she sent it over to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so now I have it. It's my only little pop figure without a box, but I have it with all my other DCEU
black
pops.
Suit, Superman.
Yeah,
it's all. Okay, and I will say that visual with the skulls is really impressive.
Yeah, it was really...
And then you take that and put it next to the Day of the Dead with all the people with painted skulls around him. You know, I mean,
all the parallels.
I do love Zack's. Yeah, Zack's parallels, Zack's storytelling. The visual is so beautiful. It's a gorgeous thing.
There it is.
And I find it interesting how Zod mentions that you know, he thinks about having killed Jor-El. You know what I mean? It bothers him. He's not entirely at peace with that decision.
Yep.
But again, he has to do what he has to do. He has to do what he was born to do, which is preserve his race.
Yep.
And so it's one of those, I'm a soldier, and this is my mission. I don't like this action, but I would because I need to get this mission done.
Yep.
And again, see, you get some of that free will versus destiny. You know, what choice would Zod have made if he wasn't bred to preserve his race like that?
It's funny, another small little Easter egg, that guy who was like taking Clark's blood.
Yeah.
He played an aged clone Lex in Smallville.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that. You go, buddy.
See, I can literally name every like even like Amy Adams was in an episode of Smallville too. So.
Oh, that's awesome! I did not know that. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, she played like a character who had this power of like, she was overweight, but she would like eat people to absorb their good looks, I guess, to make her thin.
Interesting. Okay.
So
okay.
it was a weird episode.
I love this, and again, I've heard people be like, "Well, she's so stupid. How dare she just put that in there? She didn't know what could happen." And it's like, dude, Clark gave it to her,
and, she's
and
like,
told her not.
This is probably the reason why.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know, surely that's a better thing to go on than just look. I found this random thing on the ground. I should stick it in there. You know, I mean, come on, it's okay. Just go with the story, guys. Calm down.
love how she's able to interact with with Jor-El. You know.
Yes. I love how she's the one to get the information from him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
She's the one to actually get how to beat them. You know, I mean...
It's funny, like, in both this and Batman vs. Superman, she ultimately has the information to stop the villain. In both.
Yes, and I love that. I really appreciate how they utilize her, because so often the love interest is just kind of left behind.
Yep.
You know, they just don't do a whole lot, and then they're there for the love scenes, and that's it. You know, this is gorgeous. I love this storytelling. And I do love, I don't know, something about Jor-El, he's just so friendly, you know?
I know.
And she's like, all right, then,
those are Russell Crowe's and his acting ability, like, to make you feel like warm and like they can trust him.
Exactly. It is a beautiful thing. I love this whole scene. This whole scene is awesome. See, they even give her a little bit of action badass, which is not, you know, insanely Lois Lane. It's not like she has like millions of military skills and fights like a badass, but it doesn't matter. You know, when it counts, she can do it. She's strong. Also, I love the music in the background.
Oh, God, me too.
It seems to be, somebody pointed it out, it's Lois's theme, that whole da-na-na-na, you know, is very much, they play it when
But like
she's
sped
around.
up, yeah.
Think about her, you know, and that's like her searching for truth always. It's really cool. Ah, see, now he's just mad at you.
And
Look
now
at
that
the
you,
kid.
yeah, and now that you say that, I noticed they like mixed like Superman's theme with Lois's in that for a second.
Yeah, see. Hans Zimmer, I really need to just sit down and write like millions of essays on Hans Zimmer's music throughout these two films because it is a thing of beauty, and the choices he makes to illustrate certain things are gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
That's what I can sit there and I can enjoy the original John Williams score, but there's something about what Hans Zimmer did to not only create a new Superman score, but to create such a beautiful and emotionally well-fitting score to go along with this movie, and for Batman vs Superman as well. Granted, he had Junkie XL to help him out, but I don't think he would have gotten
that after doing the first Batman, you know? It's hard to differentiate like that. He needed somebody to give him a different point of view, which makes total sense. Oh, I love Jor-El right there. See, I didn't even hear the whole two women duking it out. And everything comes together, you know? It's just an awesome story.
And I love it, and it's kind of sad because he's like, safe travels, McLean. It's highly unlikely we'll see each other again.
Exactly. He knows. He knows. He knows that, you know, things
this
are very
part's
much
kind of
up in
sad
the
too,
air.
because I think this is the last time that Clark sees Jor-El.
Yes, it is. The unquestioning obedience, even with doubt.
Yep.
One day, the time was right.
Could be the bridge.
You could be the bridge between two people.
Yep. See, what a beautiful thing.
It's funny, you think when he says look, he's like, oh, look at Earth. It's like, no, look at Lois.
I know, and he's like, oh, is that Lois in that pod? That's bad.
And then this was another moment where it's like, oh, it's like, oh, here's the Jesus. Yeah.
Not the music, the choir,
Yeah.
the divine, like. I love how they look at each other again. Communication without words, every time.
This is really one of the first times in almost any form of Superman media where, like, the villain goes to the Kent farm to try to intimidate the Kents.
How dare he? And I'm actually impressed that this is the first time. Interesting. I love how they just casually land. We're going to use this as our parking lot now. Wait, what? Oh, that cape.
Yep. And I love how with all the Kryptonian ships, there's like that blue flame and that blue energy that's what powers them. And it's like it's very different from the traditional just like engine.
Yes.
You know, it's
very otherworldly. Yep. It is not of our world. And you're right. They make that distinction every time.
It's even there with all the crashed pod stuff. You can see the blue flame still there.
Yes. Like, isn't that cool? So cool.
And like you can see Clark's expression, like he's like, "Oh no."
I love watching his face change when he realizes, and we're all like, "Wait, what?" You know. And again, they're not telling you; they're showing you. This is what it actually is, guys. You know, if he said, "My mother, she's in danger," then they're telling you. But they're just showing you, and we're supposed to put it together and be like, "Oh crap!" You know, and that's actual showing and not telling. You go, Martha.
I know.
I love you.
How dare you destroy the Kent house?
I was gonna say, rude. people want to complain, but you know what? You come after my mom, and this will be my reaction too. Hit him again! Yay! Do not threaten Martha Kent. It's not okay.
And I love all the screams of passion that Henry does as Superman.
Yes.
He's like,
yes, and again,
he is an
people wanna
emotional
whine
guy.
and moan
If you-
about it. And did you see the quote I just saw today that Patty Jenkins talked about? She said cheesy. She said cheesy is a word that doesn't exist in her world. She doesn't like the idea that media shies away from doing things that are actually sincere. And this and many other incidences are things that I always take note of. Clark screaming, and the kind of guttural, those kind of things. Like, those are sincere reactions.
Yep.
And yet we, as an audience, have developed this kind of wall against it where we're like, oh, we're uncomfortable, time to make fun of it. Because we just don't get that very often in media, and we don't like it. So, yeah. But I appreciate it. I agree. That's a heartfelt and well-done acting job. And, yeah, it's okay.
And good on Patty for bringing that up. That's why I think Patty is
I love
such
that.
a good
She's
fit
a great
for the
addition.
DC.
She is a great addition. I really appreciate them seeing her value and bringing her into the DCEU, See him right there, that last look, it's like, this is not over, And right there, I think he's trying to decide whether or not he should pursue or not, but then, no, never mind, I got other problems, Okay, fine. It's time for a Western showdown.
Yep.
I mean, look at them. Their capes, the wind's breathing.
Yep.
The
His
people
suit
are
looks so
basically
good
the
right here.
sagebrush running across, Woo-woo.
And see, look right here. He's concerned. Watch.
Get inside.
Yep.
It's not safe.
See, he's not saying, "Oh, stay out here to watch this battle." He's like, "Get inside, get
No,
away
he's
from."
going to get out, man. Everybody get out. I will take care of this as best I can. But I am not, an omniscient, all-powerful God. Keep that in mind.
Extremely dangerous. We have been authorized to use deadly force.
Those are some serious weapons.
Yep. I love this battle so much.
This one, even in the theater, I remember being like, holy crap, did you not just decimate that whole town? I took note of the damage, but at the same time, I can completely see something like this playing out.
Yeah, because what are you supposed to do if you're him? Like, you can't. It's hard to take the battle, and he tries to take the battle away from it, but they keep bringing him back to it.
And he absolutely has never done this before. He spent his whole life not using his powers, and now he's got people who have them that he's trying to stop.
Yeah.
There's no easy solution to this. There's no fix, trickety trick that's going to make this happen. I also did appreciate how he was the only one fast enough to get out of the way, though.
Yep.
The other two are still breaking their powers in, Oh, now
It's
he's
funny 'cause
mad.
I
See,
think-
if you shoot him, you'll just make him mad.
Yeah.
Look what you did.
This part's pretty brutal. Like, you see the guy's blood, like, splatter.
No,
Yep.
I did not catch that for like the first 80 million times I watched this, and then somebody mentioned it, and I was like, oh my gosh.
That was
You're right,
gruesome.
it is pretty brutal. They don't hold back.
They really don't.
Not at all.
I like how the guy before he dies, he's like, "Well, oh shit."
Yeah, this guy's toast. Oh, no, never mind. Hey, look, he's saving people,
Oh,
guys.
and this look between Clark and Pete. Ugh.
This is my favorite. I think in a lot of ways it kind of actually put Clark at a slight disadvantage.
Yep.
It jarred him out of the moment to make eye contact with somebody he knew personally, I mean, this whole town is full of people he knows personally, but Pete especially,
Yeah. I think you're the one who brought this up in the Batman vs Superman commentary that, like, probably more of Smallville than we know probably knows a secret by this point.
Yeah, I think so. Well, here's the funny part. Everybody kept trying, when it first came out, they kept trying to talk about how, oh no, there were problems in the cutting. You can see the people come in and out. No, you don't. I've watched carefully. They're always there. They just get further and further under the table, guys.
Yep.
They're absolutely terrified, and they're going for cover. So, like, the more they fight, the more they sink underneath the table. And honestly, it's hilarious. And then that one group just sits there and is like, well, if we act invisible, maybe nobody will notice us, because they don't know what to do. Oh, and here comes the serious stuff. Oh, the fighting. I love the power, the brutality that comes with Kryptonian fighting. There is nothing delicate about it. And somebody just made that post just the other day about how Wonder Woman operates a little bit differently in her physicality because she is a different, born of a different race.
Yep.
And the Kryptonians in this planet especially, in this atmosphere are just brutal and powerful, and there's nothing delicate about anything they do, you know? Which is why Clark actually is quite a statement, because he can do delicate things, he just has to really make sure.
Yeah.
Oh, this fight is brutal. I wince every time I watch it. Like, ow, 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 ow.
And I love his use of heat vision coming up here in a second.
Tries to fly, see? He tries to go. Oh, crap. It's hard when there's two of them. Okay. That is cool, because right there you see it actually hurts them.
Yep.
You know? Oh, whoa! You know? Which goes, thank you, there's the argument for putting his hand over Zod's eyes. You can't do that. It's not going to work. We don't know who the enemy is, so we'll just shoot everyone.
Yep.
That's the classic U.S. way to do it all. Thanks, guys. Oh, geez, is he the man? Or he's like, oh.
No.
Okay, hear that choir?
Yep.
I always thought that's kind of an odd thing to have in the middle of an action sequence until I realized that the choir is always depicting Superman in Superman's journey. And right there, when the guy falls out of the helicopter and he saves him, and then asks if he's alright, is like, just like every other Superman movie we ever saw. You know, where some soldier's in danger and Superman's gonna make sure he doesn't get hurt. And again, that's another step in his progression toward being the hero Superman.
Yep.
Oh gosh, Fiora just, oh geez. Guys, just run away.
I know.
I love how they show though how devastating they can be if they turn against humans with those powers. Because look at her move, man. They can't even keep up with her. She just and takes them all out. It's awesome.
And the way that Zack directs speed too. That's why I'm so looking forward to how he directs the Flash and Justice League.
No, I cannot wait. I am so excited.
Because you know what's funny? Like, so the other night when I saw Wonder Woman in the theater, they played Justice League right before the Justice League trailer before it starts. And
Okay.
I think for a lot of people it was their first time seeing the trailer, but for me, seeing it on the big screen for the first time just makes me so much more hyped for Justice League. I just can't wait.
That was me too. Once I finally got that, I was like, holy crap, this trailer's even better than I thought it was.
I know.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
See, he hits him away from the people.
Yep. I love Hardy's like, I'm going down fighting. I know I'm hosered, but I'm still gonna go down fighting. I love this whole. You're right. I agree. Everything about these two.
He's ready to go down fighting too.
Oh yeah, and he knows he's gonna. And then, oh wait, what just happened?
Yep.
Awesome. Oh, but he doesn't save anybody. Keep that in mind. Okay.
Forever you and you say, we'll kill 1 million more.
Yeah, and I don't think Fiora is just making that thing. Oh my gosh! See, I was like, whoa, what? For real?
I know. And here comes their ship just easily taking down their jets.
I know. Like they were nothing, you know?
No, even
So right there, I was like, oh my gosh, you just toasted half the city. But at the same time, that was the Kryptonians doing it, you know, and they blew up a pilot that, wasn't supposed to go down. So.
And also, if you notice, it was really only one city block that took the damage too.
They kept it very localized. I was impressed. And honestly, not many of the buildings got taken out. It was the
Luckily
street.
too,
They
yeah.
decimated the
Yes,
street.
Sears got kind of destroyed. This is hands down like one of my favorite scenes in all of the DCEU.
Agreed. On the cave.
I know. The way he just emerges from the rubble and then he's just there.
Oh yeah, unhurt, unharmed,
Yep.
and looking at them uncertain of his reception, you know? It's such a thing of beauty.
And now they know that, like, hey, he's not here to fight us. He's here to fight with us.
Exactly. But at first, they have their guns up, and he has to take that chance to start walking and hope that, it's not like they're gonna hurt him, but his feelings have definitely been hurt, Don't hurt my sister's feelings.
This man is not our enemy.
It's like, oh, finally.
Let it go.
favorite is how they have the pilot he saved directly behind Hardy.
Yep.
I mean, not only did he save Hardy's life, but then the pilot too, you know, and it's quite clear through his actions, they recognize, okay, he's not our enemy, you know, and that's cool, and that's exactly what Martha always said, that they see what you do and they know who you are, you know, and so. Tiny Clarky pictures.
Yeah, no, you know, it's funny. I didn't notice this until like not too long ago. That picture of Clark and his dad at science fair. Clark has that like in a frame in their apartment in Batman vs Superman.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, I gotta watch again.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was literally like a blink and you'll. It's like on one of their shelves. Yeah.
Look at her son, and I love they hug each other the way they're framed in the doorway to their ruined family home. You know. And again, she's like, it's just stuff, you know. She is so down to earth, you know. And then him right there, everything about who he is, but you can't be, you know. There's a threat here, and you know, I can't have you going anywhere, Mom.
Yep.
Oh, I love these guys so much.
I think they're interested in sharing this world.
Clark!
I like how this cop's just standing there like,
I'm not sure what's going on, but this redhead asked me for a ride, so we are.
Exposed a temporary weakness.
Martha's like, that's that reporter lady. I'm so confused.
Because I have located the Codex. It was never in the capsule. Jor-El took the Codex, the DNA of a billion people, and he
Like
bonded
his
it with
face.
his son's individual cells. All of Krypton's heirs, living.
Okay, it's the Superman is the ultimate immigrant story.
Yep.
It's quite a thing of beauty to me in this film that they made the Codex part of his actual cells.
Yeah.
Because that's what every immigrant is who comes here. They all
they're
have
carrying
the
their
potential
culture
to reproduce and recreate and bring about more of themselves, you know.
Yep.
And that's the whole point, you know, is that when they come, they are bringing themselves, their culture, but also the future. You know, and if we meld the two together and make a bridge between it, could be a really beautiful thing, and everyone can benefit. And if you fight it, just end up with pain and problem.
Yeah. Again, more of that amazing score from Hans.
Always. I know my favorite. Somebody's like, "Oh, but the lines are so clunky. Release the world engine," and I'm like, "Have you watched The Flash lately? I love that show." But really, some of the lines are like, "Oh, guys, just stop." You know, what do I do? Run faster! Like, I mean, you know, it's like, in the end, lines for superhero shows are always going to be a little bit clunky, and this show avoids huge amounts of the ridiculous overstatement of things the audience should know.
Yeah.
And so, don't talk to me about clunky lines. Go away.
The rest of the ship is descending.
And the whole burning on re-entry, everything about it. It's just cool.
Now, again, just the terrifying, like, look at the size of the ship compared to the city. Like, it's seriously.
I know, and I was like, holy crap, Metropolis. Like, I had forgotten what Superman City was until they showed it on the screen. I'm so glad they did. And I was like, because I might have thought it was New York or somewhere. I was like, no, that's Metropolis. And holy crap. And I'm like, okay, now we get it. It just happens to be.
And Bruce Wayne is right around the corner.
Yep. I loved how they pulled that in here.
Yeah.
Such a thing of beauty. That's beautiful storytelling, how they layer it together.
And
Often you have to go back and retcon things to get that kind of beauty, you know, and they didn't have to do a thing.
And again, one thing I loved about what they did with Bruce and Batman vs Superman in that opening sequence is that they showed the events in real time. It wasn't like some overly drawn out thing. It was it took place within minutes.
Yep, exactly. And that is how these things happen, you know. They don't go on forever.
I guess it seems like they go on
on opposite ends of the earth, so basically Metropolis is like, you know, bad luck was just being in the exact spot to where the other one landed so they could line up.
Yeah.
I love the water droplets. I mean,
know, me too.
That is so cool. If you picture this like a comic book, when somebody said that with Batman vs Superman, I do it all Zack's, and I'm like, okay, that's how he's viewing this, and it's a really cool thing.
And if you look at this is like an entirely different thing. You've never seen this sort of thing in a superhero movie where it's like some like a gravity western, like it's literally picking.
Slams them down. I mean, you know, and creates more gravity and more, you know, pollution, and oh my gosh. See, and again, people want to cry about how Bruce Wayne's people stayed in that building so long. It probably was about here, where it had just started, and then the windows started cracking, and then he's on the phone and like, yeah, we're leaving, you know. Stuff does not take long. And it's not like they sat there for an hour and were like, should we stay here or should we go? Oh, no. You know, it's just that when that happens, there's chaos, and you got to get people together, and
Yep.
What's that?
Planetary engineering modifying the Earth's atmosphere.
Turning Earth into Krypton.
You know, I know some people criticize the fact that Clark's on the other side of the world fighting the other end of the world engine.
agreed, but
I think it's necessary because you have to have Clark away from Metropolis to establish that he can't save everyone. That it's not just easy for him to be like, oh, I can save the entire world and no one's gonna die. Like, no, that's not how things would really be.
Exactly, and this is his ultimate fight up against technology and conditions that mirror his own world. This is a fight for him against those elements. You know, Metropolis is for everybody else in the plane, you know, and everybody else trying to do their best, humans doing their best to save their world. And then, you know, but you're right, you need to have the juxtaposition of the two.
Yep.
Bless you.
Theoretically, they should be pulled back in.
So you want us to bomb them?
I literally have this entire scene memorized line for line.
I love it. You want us to bomb them with that?
Yeah.
Party's like, no, this could work. Okay.
That machine over the Indian Ocean, the gravity field will continue to expand.
Okay. Note how Swanwick thinks about it, then he nods, then Clark returns the nod. He waits for him to give his assent before he goes and does it, which is hilarious considering he could just go do it.
I know.
But he's giving deference and respect to the people in charge of the station. Just like he did with the handcuffs, just like everything else. And see, again, yeah, it might be hard, but I'm going to go try anyway. You know, I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, that would be hard on me, or I might not be able to do it, you know?
God, I love the way they use Superman's flight in this. It's so powerful, and like it's like...
Yes. And the whole step back, maybe a little more, you know? It's so cute. Stop that. And, oh, I love that. Love that. And again, this is like seconds after it started, guys. It's not like it's been going on for hours and hours, you know? It's just, yeah. Awesome.
Yep.
Plot too, just because I'm sorry, I was like, wow, world engine terrified. This all makes perfect sense, and it's a really scary world-ending thing, and like I've never seen this portrayed before.
Yep.
Of all the millions of shows we've seen sci-fi where the world could end, this I've never seen. I love it.
Because they're not trying to destroy the world; they're trying to convert it into a new, new
They want to
Krypton.
make it their world. They want to take it over and impose their world onto it.
Yep.
See, and I love, she and Hardy were so at odds, and now they're like, all right, we're in this together. Everything about how they did the relationships and the growth and the change, and just, I love this show. I love this film.
And see, because of Zod's training, it's very easy for him to access control over his sensory functions. So for him, it's like...
I love that.
Yeah.
And he opens his eyes, and you hear that, doo, you know, and oh gosh, he did that, and my stepson went, oh no. It's like, oh crap, he's moved up another level. This is not a good thing.
Yep.
But you're right. Of course he can do it. Of course he can. He's a trained soldier. You know, of course it takes him less time. He hasn't spent his whole childhood growing up and fighting with it, you know?
Yep.
I mean, I guess you're right. It's always amazing to me. You have a problem with that? Really? You're calling that a plot hole? Okay.
Don't have the power to stop me. The command key I've entered...
I know. I almost want to wish that there's some form of Jor-El's consciousness still somewhere in the ship.
I would love to have him back. Just because that was always such a thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I love how the world engine right here, like, it fights back. It's not just, like... easy.
And that makes total sense. If they're going to go out and colonize other planets, they have no idea what's on there. This thing can't be a sitting duck to whatever doesn't want it there. Otherwise, what's the point of sending it out?
Yep.
So, yeah, it makes complete sense. And everybody's like, oh, I don't like that. Why is she fighting it? Guys, this actually is very good, tight storytelling, you know? Sorry, but it is. And this whole thing with the gravity was the coolest thing.
Yep.
Like, oh crap, it's untouchable, that's bad. And they've accidentally turned him against, like, Vengeful Tough City. Oops.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah, it's time to go, guys.
Yep.
Yep, Terry's like, that's it.
He's like, now we're leaving.
And we're out. Sadly, they probably weren't too far behind Bruce calling his guys and telling them to get out. You know?
Yep.
The timing is that tight. Oh. It sucks to watch the pilots go down because they're trying, man. They're doing their best. What are you going to do? Did you see that guy helping up the woman in the background?
Yeah.
That was awesome. Everybody else would have stomped him.
And you can really feel the terror in everyone's like eyes. Just,
Exactly.
There's Wayne. Yeah.
Yep, and just like Batman vs Superman, we talked about, you know, like, you feel so tiny right here. Everything
Yeah.
else is up high and up above, but right here, when it's Jenny and Perry, you know,
Yeah.
you feel so itty-bitty.
How people can coexist.
So we can suffer through years of pain trying to adapt like your son has?
Well, I mean, if Zod can take it like less than a day of adapting, I think it'd be easy.
It's like, well, yeah, and every new child they have will have to adapt as well.
Yeah,
but
that's
you
true.
know,
That's a good point. Good point. Good point.
So in the end, you're right. It's not like, well, we'll die if we don't have this. It's, no, that's too hard, and we'd rather just kill everybody and start over ourselves. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's where you went wrong, you know? That's where, to preserve your race, you know, had you tried to go at it a little bit easier way, maybe you could make it work, you know?
Yeah.
But not if you have to have it all your way. I love you, Jor-El.
God, this is great acting from Shannon right here.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, just the magnetism between these two. They're really good actors.
I will harvest the codex from your son's corpse, and I will rebuild Krypton atop his bones.
Yep.
Really tight storytelling too, because big bread thingies.
Yeah.
The key that Jor-El gave his son provided his consciousness, which then provided the way to initiate, you know, the spaceship and take care of everybody. It all comes around full circle and gets rid of what originally came, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that it has self-defense. I love that it makes it hard for him. It shouldn't be so simple that he just flies over there and destroys it, you know? That was the point of that. Why would he, you know? Oh, here comes my favorite part.
I know.
And if you watch the Blu-ray, like the extended edition and stuff like that, where Zack talks about making of in the back scene, he was like, honestly, I felt bad putting sound effects in this scene because the music is just so beautiful. I didn't want anything to interfere, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So here, just listen to the music, and he took out all the sound effects, and you watch this beautiful scene with just Hans Zimmer's gorgeous score. I mean, and he's right. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
He come through.
Yep.
I really appreciated that. It was wonderful because he could tell he wanted to run, you know,
Yeah,
and I don't blame him. This is terrifying, you know.
Cleared to make the drop.
Negative, Guardian.
I love this. This is another one of my favorite moments in the movie.
Everything about this moment is so beautiful.
It's like literally like he's fighting everything that's trying to hold him down.
Exactly, and he's stretching his limits just like his dad told him to, you know, like Jor-El. Everything about it, you know, he just. And he is, that's one of his great strengths as Superman. His powers are strength, and he's just taking it to another level.
Yep.
Because it matters. And people are like, why do we see, you know, these guys? I don't care about them. Really? I do. Look at the tiny people that he's saving. You know what I mean? That he doesn't even know personally.
Yep.
That he is saving because he has to do this, you know? It's such
Did you ever
a
notice
beautiful
that
thing.
when they zoom in on Clark's face for a second, it kind of looks like Christopher
Looks like-
Reeve?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time. And I'm like, whoa. the perfect Superman.
He really is.
Oh, and Perry's such a beautiful man. He wasn't gonna leave.
And you get in that earlier scene when they showed him like he would like the way he held her hand, he's like, "This is the end. I'm not gonna leave you." It's
Exactly. And he makes eye contact. She knows it too, you know. And they know that it's over. And then suddenly it's not, you know.
Yeah.
That's a hero, baby. And they're all heroes. I love how all the smaller, you know, the humans with no powers can come together and do amazing things too, in their own sphere, their own range of powers. See, now Hardy and Lois are like buddies.
I know.
Awesome.
Clear it up. We're lining up for the final run. It's up to you and Hamilton now.
And then that score of like is from Krypton.
Mother.
Yeah.
Yep. And I love this whole scene. This is pretty much me and every computer that ever existed. Okay, I need you to work right now. Oh, come on, man.
And insert inappropriate joke right there.
Oh, now she's mad.
Yep.
I love her. She's amazing. I love they're like, that's not one of ours.
Yep.
Ah, crap.
There he is.
Hey. That's a hero, baby.
Yeah. Another thing I wonder too is after Clark returns and Justice League, will he be, if they ever go back to the scout ship, would he be able to ever access it again?
I think he would. Lex got in just with Zod's fingertips, you know.
But that's also after Zod had taken control of the ship.
Okay, so, you have a point there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they're gonna do. I'm just curious as what they would do.
You're right. I don't know. Interesting.
And Lex is gonna be there creating Doomsday in a couple years.
See, and all of this right here, everything, you know, all the food, all the pods to grow children, everything like that, you know, is all right there, and then it just comes back later. It's a thing of beauty.
It really is. Like, if he knows, like, Zack doesn't set anything up if he knows it's not going to pay off.
Exactly. And I appreciate that. That's tight storytelling, because I really hate when they just bring something up, forget about it for 3 years, and then bring it back again. Or when they bring it up and then just never come back to it because they got distracted by something else. Mm-hmm. Well done, Doc. You did it.
There's a Wilhelm scream.
You gotta have one.
I know.
Oh, I love her. I mean, they just, look, the freaking rocket launch is just bouncing off her. What the what? Holy crap.
Here they are in the final showdown.
Music, too.
I know.
See, and Hardy's not an idiot. He's like,
well, I'm dead.
Look at him. Run! I don't blame you, Hardy. Okay, take note. 1 second. After this, see?
Yeah.
She holds him and deliberately cracks his neck without even a thought. But nobody's got a problem with that. She's a villain. But when Superman does it and is, you know, is regretful that he had to, suddenly he's not Superman anymore. What? You go, Hardy.
Yep.
You go, buddy. Oh, I miss him, man, but he had a good death. I was so proud.
And I noticed, like, some people have complained about the fact that, like, Lois isn't getting sucked up as everything else is.
He hasn't been exposed to the Phantom Zone like they have. I say, this is pretty simple, right? When you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Is that just me? Okay. Because you're right, you can see it all being pulled up, everything that's been through, all the ship, all the people. She hasn't been through the Phantom Zone. She's not a part of that, you know? So she's just going to fall to her death. I love this. The zoom in on her face, you know, and you realize how terrifying that must be, and then you realize, oh crap, he has been exposed to that.
and he's trying to fight off it, you know?
Yep. And he's pushing with everything he's got. That's just a beautiful scene.
No, I can understand some people who saw this and was like, oh my god, like, that's so much destruction, so many lives lost, and they're right. But at the same time, if you look at Batman vs. Superman, they established, yes, thousands of lives were lost, but it's not like the entire city was decimated.
No, and they showed, when they show an aerial view and stuff like that, you realize
a lot of the city's still there.
Blocks, you know, but it is not the entire city. And, you know, people want to whine and boob about this kiss, but I've seen far worse.
Oh, God.
You know, like, I've seen ones that are just like, really? You didn't have to match a kiss in there. This one feels real, because they both almost died.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're both really feeling the adrenaline's pumping. It's that, you know, and they just take that next step. I don't know. I feel like they earned it. I'm down with it.
And the same here. You know, it's funny, and this setting right here, like, what will eventually become Heroes Park, it plays a role in every one of these movies. So, the Zack directed movies. Like, it plays in Man of Steel, in Batman vs. Superman, and it's going to have a role in Justice League.
I can't wait for Justice League, I know. Once we figured that out, I was like, holy crap! So, yeah, I'm excited. And I do say, like they said originally, early on, they were thinking about just having Zod get sucked in too, but this is way better. Yeah. Like, people want to whine and complain and say it dragged, but I think it would have been kind of a little bit underwhelming to have Zod just get sucked in instead of them go mono, you know?
Because then everyone would have complained, oh, it would have been too easy of an ending.
Exactly. Oh, and look at that beautiful, beautiful monologue.
And see, it's here you understand his characterization and you understand his motivation.
And wow, you know, he delivers it beautifully. Michael really Shannon is a gift to this film, and I'm sorry, you know, that he's gone and we can't have him back because he's awesome. I always hate when the really well played ones die, because then I'm like, shoot, now I don't get them again.
See, Clark's, you can see he's trying to sympathize.
He does, but not enough to let him, you know, destroy the whole Earth, you know, but you're right, but it's like, he understands. It's not like it's like, well, you know, you're a loser.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like you said, Clark is the guy who, again, like, he speaks without speaking. Like, his facial expressions really say a lot.
Yes, and if people aren't paying attention, which obviously they're not, they call him wooden or, you know, just...
emo or emotionless,
Yeah, I'm just saying that he doesn't, you know, he's not acting that well, and it's like, okay. He's actually very good. The micro expressions are really good. And this fight, holy crap, this is when you really see... Some review I read way back when talked about, they were like, there is, you know, like, said the amount of destruction in this movie... You realize these are not humans fighting. These are gods coming onto our world to duke it out. And it's like, it's true. It is true. And also, I love that, that his heat vision does so much damage right from the start that he can't
to Bruce Wayne's building.
And, exactly. And the second that trailer came out and I saw the heat vision breaking out, I was like, holy crap, that's when Zack got his vision. And
you know what's funny?
Holy crap.
They showed a desk falling behind Superman. On that desk, there was a poster that said, keep calm and call Batman.
Yes, and I have laughed at that ever since somebody pointed it out. I never noticed it. See, and here again, you know, yes, there's people everywhere. Yes, everyone's in danger, but what's Superman supposed to do? Run around and collect every single one? You know, he needs to take on the source. He needs to take on the source. If he turns his back on that source, he will kill everybody he can find. That'll just go through and pick off everybody near him just to make Clark suffer. You can't do that. You've got to take the source.
Yep.
And also, it's really cool, because here you see them. They're starting to creep out, and they were wondering if it's over. Okay, it's not, but they're looking at this guy and going, this is their true introduction to Superman, or the Superman, if you will.
Yeah.
So, I love that punch. Nice one, Clark. See, and he's like, I got him, and I'm good. Oh, car. You would have had him if not for the car, Clark. I believe it. Oh, what an awesome punch. It's just amazing.
See, again, right there, you understand that Zod's not going to stop.
It insanely clear. This is a suicide from him mission for him, or I take him out and then kill everybody else mission. There's no way. There's no other aspect. It's one or the other.
Yep.
Period. So we all right there are like, ah, crap, he has to die. You know, where else could you possibly hold him?
Yep. You see that joke right there? The 0 days?
Yep, I love that look, and I've always noted that. I'm impressed that heat vision comes with consequence. It's not just there to be utilized for fun.
And did you notice what the sign behind him? It said 106 days without an incident.
I laugh every single time.
Now, one thing I like...
That is line. Exactly.
Yeah.
You grew up on a farm, man. Of course I can do this faster and better than you. And right here, just the whole scene is impressive because he just shrugs it all off.
Yep.
And it all just falls. And then, and then he lifts, and we all go,
oh shit.
Crap. And Clark's faces, he just leveled up. He's on Clark's level now. This is bad.
And you see Clark's, and if you watch Clark, he's trying to take the battle away from the city.
Yep. He tries. He does his best. But again, Zod is an equal match, and it's not going to be.
And watch Zod right here. He flies back towards the city.
Yep. See, and no, yep.
And one thing I theorized about for a while, up until Batman vs. Superman, is I wondered if the armor that Bruce was using was the leftover armor from Zod, and I guess...
It would have been a cool idea.
It would have been. And obviously it's not like I'm not like mad that they didn't, but it would have been cool if that was the case.
Look, there's the one destruction Clark did where he pushed his face into a skyscraper.
Yeah, that was the only amount where I'm like, okay, but at the same time,
no
like...
No cake!
I know.
I will say I would appreciate how if they've got a cape, Zack's not afraid to show, yes, it can be a liability at times, you know. It doesn't mean just because you're a hero they'll never get a hold of your cape, you know. If you wear the cape, you take a little bit of responsibility for them maybe getting a hold of it. Just like in Batman vs. Superman when they grabbed Batman and stabbed him, you know. Capes come with a little bit of collateral problems.
Yep. And here comes everyone's favorite Easter egg.
Oh, the satellite baby.
It's funny because...
tried to take it out, tried to remove it. Oh, look, we're back.
It's funny because at the time they didn't know who was going to play Batman yet or what role he was going to have. So they used the original Wayne Enterprises logo from the Dark Knight series. And everyone was like, everyone thought Christian Bale was going to come back.
No, it makes sense that, they don't have that stuff in development yet. So they're going to go with what works and what's recognizable. This is not good. Not good at all. People can whine and moan about people not moving fast enough, but this happens. Do you know how often this happens in real life? I have watched this happen.
Yeah, especially when a guy's trying to gather his family. He's not...
Exactly. They don't realize, what's going on. They don't put it together fast enough. And even I'm over there yelling, but, yeah. Oh, look! His hand's under his chin. He's trying to turn his head.
Yeah.
Haters just want to hate. This is all I got.
And he says he's never going to stop, no matter what. So what does Clark have to do?
Exactly. What's he supposed to do? Just watch him die? Of course he's not going to.
Yes, the first time I saw the movie, everyone in the audience cheered when that happened, and I'm just like, wow, this is kind of a gruesome audience. They're like cheering.
My theater was really quiet. They all just kind of stared. We all were like, and I had no idea about the Superman no-kill thing, to be perfectly honest. I didn't know squat about that from the comics. All I knew was that, that hurt, We're all like, and so right here, he's going to be emotional. He just destroyed the last of his people with his own two hands, to protect us. I mean, hello. Of course that's going to affect him. And I love that they had Lois right there. I love that she's not afraid to run into it to see what's going on, to find out what's happening.
He's not afraid to just fall into her arms and just...
Exactly. I mean, what a gorgeous relationship. This is why these two move me,
Same.
And she's not afraid to comfort him, I mean, she's tough, but she's not shake it off your baby, And you're right, he's not afraid to turn to her because she understands and sees him for who he is. It's a thing of beauty, you guys. Really How could you not love it? Okay, I'm done.
And this is a funny scene coming up, too.
The next day, the first time after seeing this movie, I was like, it kept coming back to me. I was like, that's hilarious.
I like how, he just emerges from the smoke and Superman's just there.
Yep. Swanwick, are you effing stupid?
That's a $12 million piece of hardware. It was. 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 It was
One of my favorite lines too.
It's beautiful, and it's beautiful coming back to, you know, I've taken this leap, and I'm just gonna have to trust in you guys that you can handle this. She's so cute.
Aw, Carrie.
The way she admits it, he's like, get in the car. Yes, sir. But see, again, that's the beginning of his celebrity status, you know, and yet at the same time, the beginnings of, I am here to help, but I'm not gonna just come underneath the U.S. government and only do what they want, which is a big thing in Batman versus Superman. You know, when the government feels like they should have more say about what he does and doesn't do.
Yep. God, I love it in the score. This ending and the score building up to it. I love.
Yes. So beautiful. And this whole scene, and Zack shot it on the handheld, and it's perfect. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's because I remember, like, some people, like, obviously, so many people complain about this movie, but one thing they're complaining about is, like, oh, how does Clark know how to have a cape? How they're, like...
He doesn't. He's dinking around like any kid does.
Yeah,
you know?
And I imagine they have to know what a superhero is in that world.
Exactly. See, and I love this. See, again, speaking without words.
John knows. Jonathan knows.
He sees it. Exactly. He sees everything he can be, and she knows that he does, and that's why she just pats his shoulder. It's like, oh, honey, and it goes off. It is a beautiful thing.
It really
They're
is.
showing you and not telling you. They do not have to have lines to spell this out if you're engaged as an audience. But if you're not, then you feel like they didn't give it to you, and they dropped the ball, and then you draw your own conclusion. Oh, he's so cute here. How he describes exactly why he wants this job.
And I love his look as Clark Kent, because it's very, like he looks very businessy, but he also has, like, the flannel, and he looks very, like, farm boy, country, with the jeans.
In there. Yep. I love it. I just love it. And I love how they don't show you his face with the glasses until the last minute. Even here, he goes in, and we've got
grabs him,
all
and then the
shoulders
elevator
and no
doors
face,
close.
and then he pulls him out, and we're all like, oh! Even I was like, oh, the glasses, I forgot about those,
Yep.
Of course, that seems to be in the name. Reset.
See, and he's still the same guy.
Yep.
But he'll come through in a pinch. I did miss him in Batman vs.
I know,
Superman.
me too.
I admit it.
I'm glad Jenny stuck around, though.
Oh, I did. I was glad she was there. What's that?
I like how he's like,
they just laugh
they're
at
like,
him.
nope.
You got a new stringer once you show him the ropes. This is Clark Kent. Good luck.
And I love how Lois was the one who helped him get the job, too.
Oh, yes.
Hi. Lois Lane. Welcome to the planet.
Oh, double meaning.
Most big line ever.
I know.
Glad to be here, Lois.
God, I
They
love
fall
this ending so
supposed to
much.
fall
And
like
it ends with him smiling.
Him smiling, her smiling, it's so hopeful. I'm like, it's wonderful. Yep. And then we get the music.
I know, one of the best scores in any superhero movie.
So gorgeous.
God,
I love this.
I love this
The
too. Zack did
trailer
such an amazing
just-
job.
Oh yes, Zack is amazing, and the trailer that used this snip.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite trailer.
Wow, I need this.
I know.
It's just so cool. And if you could tell, like, if you pay attention to the marketing, Warner Brothers, for the most part, seems to actually pay attention to what the vision of the movie is when they go to promote it.
Yep.
Because if you remember way back when, it wasn't until after the film came out, I heard about it vaguely, and I'd done all the Batman and really liked those, so I was like, sure, Superman, I guess I'll see what they can do with it. So my husband's like, we should go see that. I'm like, whatever. So we go see it, and I come out like, and more in love than anything else, but then I went back and looked at all the videos and all the trailers and everything like that because I was so obsessed. So you come back and you realize the first teaser you get, they released two.
Yep.
One
the
with
two
Jor-El's
perspectives.
voice,
Yeah.
and one with Jonathan's. And you go, oh, okay. And then you keep going, and very much they're trying to show you, look, he's a child of two worlds.
Yep.
Look, he's the bridge between two. Look, even in the marketing. So I'm shocked when we get to the film and people are like, well, I just don't think they marketed it right. Well, what did you want them to do? They're trying to show you what this movie is.
Yep.
Batman vs. Superman, that Comic-Con trailer with the huge, operatic, gorgeous music in the background and everything like that, and shows you the false god and all the arguing and everything, and Batman's point of view and everything, and they are showing you what this movie is, right down to the music where they say this is big, Shakespearean, operatic, you know what I mean? Don't expect, anything else except what this is. And then people go in and come out and they're like, well, I just don't think they marketed it right. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Are you paying attention? Look at what they're giving you,
And the same thing that could be said about...
They will give it to you. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, it's the same thing that's been going on with Wonder Woman right now. Like, in the last month, everyone's like, oh, where's the Wonder Woman marketing? Where's this? Where's that?
Oh
and it's
my
like,
gosh,
what do you expect?
like,
There's
it's
posters,
everywhere.
there's trailers, and like, it's easy. Sometimes, I'll admit, it's easy for us to be in the know because we follow this stuff on a daily basis.
It's
but at the
true,
same
it's
time,
true.
it's like I talk to
But at the same time, yeah, if you're even anywhere near it, like, you know, you watch anything on CW, you're gonna get a trailer.
Yep.
You're gonna get a trailer or two in a commercial break. You're gonna, you know,
Yep.
like, you're right. If you're just looking for it, it's there. And yeah, that was just complete. I laughed because I was like, you guys are crazy. Because they're
Yep.
gonna be like, yeah, we'll give this movie a shot, but we really don't think it's gonna succeed. So we're gonna sink in millions of dollars and then flub the marketing because
Yeah.
you know we don't want it to succeed, so we can say "See, told you so." Because that's how studios work. Because
Yeah.
their bottom line isn't like, you know, is so up and down and negotiable that it's fine if a total multi-million-dollar movie like that tanks. Okay, just so they can say "I told you so." You know, I'm sorry, guys, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And if they were gonna do that, they would have said, "No, we will not do that movie. We're not gonna sink in the amount of money that will take to have it fail." You know, there's no way. So it just, I don't know. People are crazy.
Yeah, and
but
especially
pay
with-
attention
yeah.
to the marketing for these movies in specific. Like, they will tell you what this film is about, what the vision of it is before you ever get there, if you're paying attention. But
Yeah.
you have to pay attention. You know, and so Suicide Squad was actually fairly similar. Because they started out with the teaser that was really cool and,
And
had
dark,
that slow started a joke, you know,
Yep.
neat. And then they get to, okay, now we're going to do a trailer to Bohemian Rhapsody. You know, we're all like, what is this? And it's got comic timing perfectly worked in there and stuff. And you
Yep.
go, okay, this is going to be funny. And yet, somewhat serious. This is going to be cool. That's what they gave you. Look, dark, serious, funny. You know, I
Yep.
mean, just pay attention to what they're giving us. This is why I'm paying attention to Justice League. You know, they're singing "Come Together" right now while the Justice League comes together. You know, all right then.
Yeah.
Okay, pay attention, and it will help your expectations because you start to model them around. Okay, I want what they're giving me here instead of I think it's going to be this thing all the way over here, even though the promos are nothing like that. Cool, you know, that is the perfect way to hoser your expectations when you walk in and then
Yeah.
suddenly don't find what you wanted. So don't do it, man. Just, you know, pay attention, go in.
Yeah, it's
enjoy
really not that
yourself.
hard. Exactly. And
It's
you bring up so
not,
many fair
but
points,
you
and
do
that's why,
have to
like,
engage.
like,
you know, you do have to engage. So,
yeah.
go ahead.
Well, because people go in, because I think the MCU fairly unfair, like, they've not like tricked audience, but they've made audiences so used to like very simplistic, very straightforward,
Yes,
jokey
the
comic
same
book
formula.
movies. Yeah,
And,
it's the same thing.
formula again and again too. So,
Yeah, and so people go into these
movies.
movies thinking, oh, I don't need to think too much about it. It's just going to be superheroes fighting a bad guy. Superhero wins, and the movie's over. But
Yep,
with
yep.
Zack,
And I
Zack
got laughed.
expects more from his audience. Zack thinks his audience is
Yeah.
smarter, so he makes movies that make us think, and like we walk out, we're like, okay, so like why would Superman kill Zod? Like why would like Batman want to kill Superman? Why like you walk out with these questions like, and because Zack thinks you're smart, and that's why I think with everything Zack has been through, like he doesn't deserve any of it, and that's why like I want to like thank Zack for everything he's done with the DCEU, and
Same here.
and I also
And-
yeah, go ahead.
They sent that fandom book, you know, of appreciation letters to him, and I think it got to him and his wife around the time that they lost their daughter.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful that they have that book, but I swear now I'm like, okay, I just need to write them a letter, you know, because I hurt for them so much.
I
And
know, I
even just reading
seriously-
the interview, everything he wasn't saying about how, like, you know, like
And he
how
was- 'cause he-
didn't
and he
want to
felt- 'cause
step
the-
down, and
the-
he didn't, you know, he knew that they'd start just coming out narratives
Tear-
stuff like that,
exactly,
but then said, I'm
like,
beyond
the
caring
narr-
about that, and it was like, oh my gosh, this
And
man
the guy-
is hurting, his family is
and
hurting.
the
and
guy
it
never gets a
depresses me.
break, and I feel so like
Yeah.
like the day I found out, I was literally like in tears. Like I was like I went into because I had to go into work that day, and I found out, and I'm like, I felt for the guy because I mean I've lost my own mother, so I know how it feels to lose someone that close to you, and it's like he's been through so much, and he's just a guy. He's trying to make movies that people enjoy. And people are viciously attacking him and his family, and people are joking about his dead mother, and
People are saying
Yeah,
all these
what
horrible
on earth?
things.
Have the balls to say, okay, that was in bad taste. I apologize. That's all you have to do. But apparently,
That's too
you
hard
can't.
for some
so,
people,
okay,
yeah.
good to know. You
Yeah,
know?
and it's just like,
yeah.
but one
Well,
thing
and then
I
my
was,
favorite
yeah.
was like, oh, good. Now that means the movie's saved, you guys.
Oh, with
A,
Joss Whedon,
it's
yeah,
a movie, and it doesn't
it's
matter.
already in
And
post-production,
B, I
first
can
of all,
smack
yeah.
you right now. Exactly. And see, no, it's not going to change much at all.
Exactly.
So suck it. So when you walk in with your expectations all skiwampus again, and then suddenly find a Zack Snyder movie and walk out all cranky, you only have yourself to blame.
Exactly.
Because this is still Zack's movie. It's still going to be Zack's movie. And I, for one, am grateful for that.
Me too.
You know, and I just want to send him a letter and let him know how much I feel for him. And, you know, for him and his whole family, it just, yeah.
I really do feel for that. And Warner Brothers did their best to, like they said, we'll push off Justice League for you.
Yes.
We'll do whatever it
I
takes for you to
appreciated
be
that.
comfortable.
I
And they didn't
appreciate
have
how
to
they
do
stuck
that.
by
They
him, and
didn't.
he was like, no, we don't want to do that to the fans. And then they said, when he finally said, I'll step down, they said, okay, but we'll reserve the first look option for you on all of these other things.
Yeah.
He still gets the first look and first decision to decide whether he wants it or will let it pass. And that is a studio really sticking by their guy, and I appreciate them for that, because
what,
they
like,
could have shafted him hardcore and run.
They could have
and,
easily, with all the...
Yeah, and
yeah.
they did not. And
They've
I
never
appreciate
given
my
up on
respect
him.
for them goes up every notch of, you know, a notch every time I hear stuff like this. It's like, wow, they really, you know, I know they're out to make money, but at the same time, they're not just about the money, because there's no way they'd be pulling stuff like this if they were.
And they're people,
you know,
too.
so-
They're not just some big, emotionless studio heads. Like, they're people who understand loss, and they understand what a guy goes through. And granted,
Yes.
I wish Warner Brothers did more to help defend him after all the vitriol he got from Batman versus Superman, but what they did
agree.
with Zack Snyder's strategy and being there for him and letting him, and offering to push the date of release for Justice League so he can take the time he needs to grieve, and he's like, no, like, it's
Yes.
I need to be with my family. I'll personally bring in Joss Whedon. He can finish up some of the post production. Thank you guys, but I'm gonna need some time for my family right now because they need.
Well, and he's already put in months to
Of work,
finish up
yeah.
and get it to where it's supposed to be, and then he decides to step down, you know. And I completely understand him thinking, you know, I just need to throw myself into my work and it'll help. But I also completely understand where he reached a point when this is not helping and it's leaving my family adrift and they need me, you know. So
Yeah.
I have great respect for his decision, and I hurt for his whole family, because that is not something I would ever wish on even my worst enemy. That's
I
not
know,
something
same
you
here.
ever want to see, is them lose a child to suicide. You know, no, absolutely not. So
The one
yeah,
thing, at
it's-
least I can say, the
it's
internet,
bananas.
when we all found out the horrible news of his what happened to his daughter, at least we can say most of the internet came together, fans or non-fans, we all came together and said, hey, our opinions aside, this is a human being who just
Exactly.
lost his daughter.
Exactly. Yep. First things first. I hurt for him and his family. You know, I don't. At the time, you're right. It was like I don't even care about the movies. You know, like.
And a lot of-
but I do.
at
But it was
first,
like,
everyone
that's
was really
not my
nice
first
about it,
concern.
yeah.
My first concern is, holy crap, they've been struggling under this weight for how long? Oh my
Months,
gosh,
yeah.
I have no idea. You know.
And he went through the Wonder Woman market, like the promo stuff, and he was there in Shanghai promoting Wonder Woman.
I know. I'm like,
It's-
and then it was like a couple days after that, I swear, that they made the announcement. I was like, holy crap. So he made sure he came through and, you know, and got Wonder Woman up and running, and then decided to step down. He has good priorities, and he is there for people. So I agree. He doesn't deserve the crap that gets rained down on him. And the more I look at it, the more I realize I think it's like people who feel betrayed by him because he dares to make a hero who
It's
has
flawed,
feelings
yeah.
and is not just the classic male of I'm gonna beat the crap out of the bad people and make witty one-liners, and that's all that there is to me, you know. And I swear it's like they feel betrayed, so they feel personally vindictive and have a vendetta. It's like it's more than just random hate. It's like serious amounts of hate, and it's.
I know, and
it's
no other
really
director has
creepy.
ever had to experience that, and that's why it just.
Even if they have, it's probably born from the same thing, and it's sad that it's like, okay, I mean, I love these movies, and I'm obsessed. I admit it. But I also have a family, you know, a life, a busy schedule. You know, there's lots going on. And in the end, if this movie disappointed me, I don't think that I should be going and taking out my sadness about that on the person who made it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a good thing when your life crosses that line where you feel the need to go find someone and bully them because they've disappointed you with their work. In the end, it is their work. They're only going to be able to produce something that is from them because they are them. heaven forbid, and an artist can only do what is in them. You know what I mean? If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but don't do that. Don't be that kind of wank. That is a terrible human condition to be in. It's just, don't do it.
That's what sometimes it's like at the end of the day, they're just movies, and you can like them or hate them, but
the end,
these are human.
They are, and that's why, seriously, when we heard about Autumn, it was like, holy crap, and I agree with him. In the end, they are just movies, and in the end, lives matter more. Human lives matter more. His family
matters more. Yeah,
family matters more. The whole thing broke my heart.
I know, me too. I like all of our thoughts and prayers are with Zack. We just.
Oh, yeah.
No
and
one
really
should ever have to go through this.
The We Are With You, Zack Snyder, trend, and there was huge amounts of support that went out. I did my best to add to it, and I appreciate that because he deserves that. Anybody who has lost a daughter deserves that. Yeah. And so it's all of our thoughts and prayers, and I hope that they can find a way to heal. Which it'll only be to a certain degree, but I hope they can get to a better place.
And I'm glad we were able to come together and celebrate some of the things he's done as a filmmaker, because it's like at the end of the day, he's a human being, but yet he's impacted our lives positively for us who are fans. Like, he's given us things to talk about and to theorize years later after release, and like I can't say that with many filmmakers or directors or whatever. It's just like
amazing masterpieces.
Yeah.
See, same here. It's like you watch it a couple times and. Then if you watch it, it's just because I enjoy going on the experience again. It's not because I want to mine details, because there's really nothing to mine. No offense. Yeah. There's not extra layers. I love this kind of stuff that has extra layers. I always get excited because there's so much more to it. And it is so much more fulfilling to be. That's just how I am. Not everybody's like that. That's okay. But go find a stuff. That's the kind of man. It's totally cool.
Yeah.
Spend your time, make stuff that drive with you and be an a-hole, don't be a punk.
Yeah, I know. It takes zero effort just to be a kind person and to spread love and positivity.
Right.
It's and that's one of the things I think you'll love about the message of Wonder Woman when you go see it tonight. And by the time this video is up, everyone probably will have seen Wonder Woman by now. But I want to say I love. Yeah. I love that the message of the DCU pretty consistently is hope and love, and just like being able to look forward, look for the good in humanity, and be able to stand up for what's right, and not just be like a meaningless action movie. That these movies have a deeper underlying message that we can all resonate with.
Completely agree, and I also agree that the fact that they are. The thing that we spend the most is the hope and the uplifting and the looking, for something better. All of that is part of why these movies are it is a beauty. So you're right. I'm giving it up and trying to think of it because it has given me some wonderful in my life. It's a good thing. So.
Yeah, sorry. I think your audio's starting to crap out. We barely heard any of that.
Really?
I know, I'm sorry. I was trying to sit there and listen. I'm like waiting for it to fix itself, and I'm like, oh, it sucks. I know you probably had something really felt meaningful.
No, I agree. It's just all I was saying is that you're right. The hope and the looking forward, the striving to be better. All those uplifting, wonderful messages we get from the films are part of why they resonate with me so much. So he has given us awesome stuff.
He really has. And I just want to say thanks again for doing this commentary with me again, and I'll probably have you come around next time I do another one, which is probably going to end up being Wonder Woman later this year once it's out on video and all that.
Well, hanging around and
yeah.
I'm up with it.
All right, thank you again. Thanks for spending all this time with me and watching this. I love just being able to talk about these movies with people who understand them and love them as much as I do. So so just thank you for also just promoting the same sort of love and positivity that the DCEU promotes, because it's nice to have someone in a group of people who all just want to convey the same message to each other, and I think that's all we as human beings can just try to do is just spread love and positivity. So I think it's a good place to end. So again, thanks again for joining me. Yeah, sorry, your audio is still it's getting really bad. So I don't know how much longer it'll last, but
Bye.
All right, bye. Thanks again. See you around. And for everyone watching, thank you guys for watching. And until next time, have a good one.